everybody. Good evening, everyone. What is the song? Oh, Banjo-Tooie. You know, I never did play Banjo-Tooie. Excuse me. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Ace Attorney stream. I was going to start a little earlier, but dinner was basically finished right before I was going to start. So I'm like, well, you know what? Let's have dinner first so I don't have to stop in the middle of the stream and eat and rush. So that is where that is. Last time we finished case 2. And the title of the stream is The Case, because I have no idea what's happening yet. I'm not used to streaming on Tuesdays. Not lately. But I won't be streaming Friday this week because of the return of the great departed soul. I didn't watch the beginning of it last time because we were already running late, so I haven't seen the cutscene yet. Episode 3. The return of the great departed soul.
The grand end of the century great exhibition of London. Surely there is not a soul who has failed to hear it. Wondrous new works of culture and industry from every corner of the globe had converged on Hyde Park. Welcoming over 50 million visitors. The last great hurrah of the century. Astonished and delighted people of all nations, and ended on a note of resounding success. But as regards to the terrible catastrophe that occurred during the festivities, very few are aware my friend Mr. Herlock Sholmes had a hand in unraveling the matter. For from the shadows, it was he who earnestly unearthed the facts of the case. And like the centerpiece of the great exhibition, which rose high into the skies of Hyde Park, Sholmes's brilliant deductions, as clear and lofty as the crystal tower itself, brought the truth to light.
Okay.
We're here at the showground of the Great Exhibition, which is absolutely packed with people. The weather is unusually fine, and we're about to witness a most extraordinary scientific experiment.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 20th century will see steam engines and electrical power dominate the world.
Well, they weren't wrong.
Horse-drawn carts will give way to the motor car. Ships will sprout wings and take to the skies. And today, we showcase even more advanced technology, a glimpse into the future. A world first, a demonstration by super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine.
What?
Oh no!
Hey, Ramirez, welcome in.
A man will literally be disassembled by a pulse of high voltage electricity and beamed to another location. Whereupon his body will be reassembled by a series of complex calculations exactly as it was before.
That sounds super dangerous. Turn it off, Otto!
To arrive an instant later on the Crystal Tower behind you!
Okay. Reno, are you listening? Oh, sorry. What was that, Iris? What's the matter with you? You've been miles away all morning. Didn't you like what I cooked for breakfast? No, that's not it at all. What were we talking about again? These papers full of news about the Great Exhibition again. Ah, yes, the Great Exhibition. I have to go sometime. You're really not your usual self today. You seem very down. Do you agree, Hurley? Well, Hurley's feeling it too. Did you say something, Iris? Oh gosh, you're even more down. Ah! When did you arrive, Mr. Naruto? Bro, he's gonna freaking throw hands. I've been here for about half an hour already. We had breakfast together. What? Why didn't you mention it before? I, thought you might have known I was here. You know, because... breakfast? Iris is quite right. You are clearly lacking in vim. So much so that I didn't notice your presence. Thanks. Of course, I could deduce that the reason perfectly well with such some simple observations. What? Let's see, yes. For example, your tousled hair this morning with all its unruly spikes can clearly be deduced, therefore, that... let me stop you there, Mr. Sholmes, because I think I see where this is going. My hair always looks like this. It always has. Ever since we first met, in fact. Oh, really? Well, how interesting. It just doesn't look like a haircut as such, I suppose. Thanks again. God, I love him. He was such a pain the first case, but man, I love him. It's crossed my mind recently that it's been 6 months now. 6 months since I was forbidden from working in What? Wait. That's why I haven't had any clients? I'm forbidden to work? What am I doing? I'm mooching? Oh, Rinosuke is mooching, I guess. Bro. What does he do all day? He just hangs out with Iris and Mr. Sholmes. So I've been wondering how much longer I'm going to be banned. Oh, well, that would explain why you seem rather glum. Don't you agree, Hurley? Oh my god, he's back to being depressed again. Huh? Did you say something, Iris? Back to moping. Why are we banned? What's the matter with Mr. Sholmes today? He seems even more down in the dumps than me. I know! And the Great Exhibition is open! You'd think he'd be excited. Oh, why don't we all go see it together? I want to! Of course I do! But I can't! Not for the time being! Why not? Why not? Why not? Because I'm a great detective, after all! So you're embroiled in some tricky case you can't be distracted from? Is that it? I don't remember hearing that you're working on a case, Hurley. I suppose I should try to find out what's going on. Let's start with the gloomy mood. Are you investigating a particularly tricky case at the moment, Mr. Sholmes? You could say that, I suppose. Nothing more to add? That's not like you. What sort of case is it? Shush! Quiet, Mr. Naruto. We must not discuss it here. You'll never know who might be listening. You're acting really strangely, Hurley. What do you mean, Iris? Well, usually, the more mysterious and complicated a case is, the better Hurley's mood. Ha! Is there a case that's bothering you? Iris, please! You mustn't exercise your astute powers of observation and deduction without me without invitation! Remember what I always say. Put yourself in the shoes of the individual about whom you are making deductions. You say that, do you? You, Mr. Sholmes. Never mind. Once I've had a cup of tea, I must make my way at once to the crime scene. That was a deep sigh. Anyway, the whole of London has been swept up in this great exhibition, hasn't it? The most advanced science, the most modern technology, the finest works of art and feats of engineering. For the next 6 months, our capital will be showcasing these things. And the world will be watching. 6 months?! Oh, do you know what I'd like to do? I'd look down from London on one of those lovely balloons. Look down on... Do you mean those things? Fly? Yes, of course! They fly high in the sky and don't even need wings to do it. All you need is hot air. But how? How does hot air have anything to do with flying? It makes no sense! I can't understand it at all. Well, that's true. A lot of new scientific discoveries. Most people can't understand them at first. But in 100 years' time, all these things will just be common knowledge. I suppose they might be. Mind you, some of the science being demonstrated seems very questionable. Something went wrong on the open experimentation stage yesterday, apparently. There was a huge explosion. Still, I wish I'd seen it, though. I'd love to see how bad some of these scam experiments really are, says the innocent 10-year-old girl. See here, every page of this paper carries some article or other about the great exhibition. But the brighter things shine, the darker the shadows that are cast behind them. Personally, I find myself drawn to the darkness, to the impenetrable. That is my proper atmosphere. The great exhibition newspaper added to the court record. Shadows cast behind. Is that a metaphorical way of referring to the back page of the paper? Let me have a look at it. Front page here. Every article on the front page is news about the Great Britain exhibition. The public demonstrates the experiments to demonstrate brand new scientific ideas, cultural exhibits from around the globe. I'm all positive and hopeful about the coming century. Let's all go see it properly before too long. So many glowing reports about the Great Exhibition and everything that's going on there. Other than this rather gloomy looking one, that is. Wait a minute. Wait, what? What's the matter, Runo? The Reaper attacked. That's Lord Van Zieks! This must be what Mr. Sholmes was talking about. Does he know anything more, I wonder? Lost cat. So remember that Lord Van Zieks was attacked. That's terrible. You know the legend of the Reaper, of the Bailey, of course, don't you? Only too well, in fact. Yes. Particular Barak Van Zieks. They say that if the Reaper is the prosecutor in a case, there's no salvation for whoever's in the dock. You as defendant is found not guilty. Remember, someone says one way or another, that person's time left on this earth will be short. London's finest rogues always find ways around the law. There's about nothing to secure an acquittal at trial. Falsified evidence, paying to sham witnesses, threatening jurors, bribing the judges. But even such devious tactics as these cannot save them from the hand of the Reaper. As you've experienced yourself, haven't you, Mr. Naruhado? Yes, I've seen the Reaper's retribution at work. Many of these criminal rogues are reckless and quite unafraid to die. If a leader among their fraternity is seen to have been taken by the Reaper, retaliation like this does occur. Really? The capital has never any supply of such scoundrels. So, do you mean Lord Van Zieks has been attacked like this before? This isn't the first time. He's quite an accomplished combatant, you know. He doesn't take these attacks lying down. Although, it seems that his assailants were armed with guns this time. Brought a sword to a gunfight. Oh my goodness, you alright then? Is Lord Van Zieks hurt? My dear fellow, how on earth would I know? Well, in the article here it says, as to what of Lord Van Zieks and his condition, all will be revealed in tomorrow's morning edition. Ah, I see. Well, we shall have to be patient then. No, we can't wait till tomorrow. In that case, you shall have to inquire with somebody in the know. But who? Lord Strongheart, perhaps? Oh, God, that's terrifying, man. Alright, so let's see. Half a year ago now, I took on the defense of a young girl in a trial heard at the Old Bailey. We're referring to a simple case of murder that took place in a London pawnbrokery. It had to be one part of a much more far-reaching plot that involved the British government. During the course of the trial, I was found that I made an unavoidable, yet at the same time, unforgivable mistake. What was it again? Work failed me. The situation is utterly deplorable. Gennaro Hado! Yes, my lord. I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial. Wait, what? Of course, my lord. Wait, what did I do? What happened? I don't remember. In the end, I had my right to represent people in court revoked. I was told I had to spend my time in research and study, so that's what I've been doing. You have, haven't you, Runo? Reading all those big fat tomes about British law up in your room, and the notes about Sholmes' old cases. Brewing Iris's special blends of tea, fetching my daily bread for me. You become something of a manservant around here, sought on the silverware next to Master Naruhado. Dude, well, I'm thinking of going to ask the powers that be to reconsider. Specifically, Lord Strongheart, the British Supreme Court on Whitehall. Lord Strongheart? Ah, the delightful Lord Chief Justice. Not my favorite fellow. Yes, we are. We're finally out of the past. He's not mine either, but he's the man I have to talk to. No. No, Eowyn. Go lay down. He's the one who can grant permission for me to start working in the courts again. I came to Britain to become the best lawyer I could. And I can't do that just sitting around here. Eowyn's been a bad cat today. You can't see... Can't see the new present I have. It's like I can't. I got a new present. Ratchet had gifted me like it was like a not acrylic. It was like a resin like mold of basically the Twitch logo with my username over it. My username under it. It's on top of the applause sign, but I don't think you can see the applause sign from here right now. I don't know why. I thought they had it in the right position. I can't see. Oh, like it's because it's not pointing up high enough. Ramirez made a sound effect that then disappeared, I guess. Well, let's be leaving now. Yes, understood. See you later, Mr. Sholmes. Ha! You really are a shameless liar sometimes, my dear fellow. Wait, what did I say? Wait, what? What? You seek to put me off my guard and follow me, don't you? Well, you would be wasting your time. The thought hadn't crossed my mind, but now I'm wondering where you were going. Ah! Well then, see you later, indeed. Oh, listen to him. He's still laughing on his way out the door. Yo, her hat! That's new! Alright then, Runo, let's get going. I forgot she had her own theme song. Oh, Iris, what are you wearing? I got changed to go to the great exhibition. You're gonna take me. What? But I was just about to go to the Supreme Court. Oh, well, that sounds fun, too. You're gonna take me there, then. She's got me at gunpoint. Alright, fine. Just lower that weapon, would you? Of course, and after the Supreme Court, then we'll go to the great exhibition. I guess new location arrived. What shall I make for breakfast tomorrow? Why don't I surprise you, Runo? Dude, her little hat is so cute. I don't know what it is, but I love it. I think this place could be a good idea. I can go up to my room. 6 months since Susie went back to the Japan. Alright, well, dang. I don't even remember what it was we did that got us revoked. Oh god, the knight. I swear they're slightly swaying. Lord Chief Justice's office. Bro, how are we gonna even speak with this brother? It's been about 6 months now since I was last here. But some things never change. Like the sense of foreboding I always seem to feel in this place. Iris! Doesn't seem to be bothering Iris at all, though. She's happily reading over there. Oh, I love this place. I always find so many interesting books here. Of course, I was forgetting that you've been here before. The time we came here 6 months ago. When Sasuto-san was given the news that she was to return to Japan. That guy is roped up in something. Ah, I understand you wish to speak with me. Oh, Lord Strongheart, I trust you've been keeping well? Let's see, since you arrived and requested an audience, it's been 4 hours, 32 minutes, and 26 seconds. I've kept you waiting a while, my apologies. Oh no, not at all. I'd like nothing more than sitting around and staring in space. Good to know. Good to know that it doesn't appear to bother him at all. Dude. Male Strongheart. Lord Chief Justice of London. He's the man who allowed me to start practicing as a defense lawyer when I arrived in Britain as a student. You need only savor the air for a moment in this grand office to understand his preeminent status. As you will be aware, the Great Exhibition of London is now underway at last. We're extremely busy as a result. Policing the grounds, guarding the new technologies, dealing with petty crime. And furthermore, as of next month, we shall open the International Forensic Science Symposium. Oh, I've not heard about that. Investigating authorities from 40 countries around the globe will be taking part, including from your own land. Forensic science is the future. The world must embrace it. As we're the hosting nation, I have much to do, and it is my highest priority. Others must wait for my attention as a result, so be it. Well, it's nice to know where I stand. So, you wish to consult with me? Of course, I can very well imagine what this is about. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting, my lord. I want to be allowed to start working as a defense lawyer again in court. That's what brought me here today. But actually, there's something else playing on my mind, as it happens. Bruno, just take a deep breath and come out with it. He does appreciate the punctuality. Having on those doves, I see. The man scares me mainly because of his gaze. He's permission to work. I actually came here today to ask for your permission. Go on. 6 months ago, my right to work in court as a lawyer was revoked, and I was told to spend my time studying. Obviously, I'm very sorry for what happened, but the thing is, it made me understand what it really means to defend somebody under the rules of a foreign justice system, and I desperately want to have another go. Please, permit me to enter the courtroom again. Mr. Naruhado? Yes. Here it comes. I'm sure you haven't forgotten your position here, have you? At best, you are a substitute for your compatriot. This was never your intended role. Well, that's true. The Japanese government actually sent my best friend on the study tour, not me. It should have been Kazuma. He was so determined to bring change to our own justice system at home. That was his calling. If that tragic incident hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here in this office now. True. Mr. Asogi was my best friend, you see. That's why I can't leave it unfinished. I have to fulfill his calling for him. His calling, you say? Has it never occurred to you that perhaps you know nothing of his true calling? Sorry? The mission with which that young law student was charged. What do you suppose it really was? What do you mean? Mission? He's not making any sense. Never mind. I've read all the reports you've submitted over the past 6 months. It's clear to me that you regret your actions and have been studiously obeying your revised instructions. Do you mean? As of this moment, I reinstate your license to practice law here in Great Britain. Wow, okay. Thank you so much! He's the Chief Justice. He's basically the honcho of the law in Britain. That's wonderful news, Runo! In fact, I believe I have the perfect case to mark your comeback. A curious affair. You'll consider it, I hope. Of course, please tell me more. A curious affair. I'm tired and old. You described it as a curious affair. Yes, that's right. I believe it was reported in the press. You are aware that there was a serious accident at the Great Exhibition yesterday. Oh, no. Yes, I read about it. A professor from Germany tried to carry out a crazy experiment. Let me see. How was it described? Super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, I think. Instantaneous kinesis, as in moving things with a click of the fingers. That's right. It's just my herbal blends needs a dash of the devil may care. What? Whatever this serious accident was exactly, it's clearly captured Iris's imagination. It's an unfortunate business. A large explosion engulfed the public experimentation stage, and a man lost his life. A certain Mr. Odie Asman, an investor and well-known figure in society. A large explosion? A man died? The man responsible for the experiment was Professor Albert Harebrain. He was detained immediately after the incident, and is due to appear in court tomorrow. On the charge of murder. What? Murder? If you intend to take on this defense, you should hurry to meet with him at the prison. There is very little time left for you to carry out any kind of investigation. The Great Exhibition. A scientific experiment gone wrong. And murder? I feel out of my depth before I even started. Still, we should go to the prison straight away then, and try to meet with this German professor. Don't you think? Definitely. Yes, one more thing about the case. There's a connection with our mutual acquaintance, the Reaper. Oh! With Lord Van Zeeks. How? All sorts of conferences have been taking place around the world to coincide with the Great Exhibition. And the next month, the largest and most important of them will take place at last. The International Forensic Science Symposium. It does seem as though criminal investigation needs to embrace scientific methods, doesn't it? Exactly! Ah! London, the global epicenter of culture, science, and wealth, now has a population exceeding 6 million. Sadly, crime in the capital is growing at a similarly startling rate. So it's imperative that we use the latest scientific methods to investigate and resolve cases as efficiently as possible. Which is what's known as forensic science, isn't it? Exactly! The future of policing! Ah! Iris is afraid of birds, apparently. Regrettably, however, Britain is currently dragging its feet when it comes to the adoption of forensic methods. Oh dear, that's alarming. Exactly! It's extremely alarming! Ah! If I were Her Majesty's Attorney General, you could be sure. The numbers of crimes committed and resolved in London would be very different to the current figures. And I can cite 12 solid arguments and 223 individual reasons to support my claim. Sorry? By way of apology for keeping you waiting earlier, I shall detail every one now. What? Oh, how fascinating. It all began 15 years ago. I was... Oh my god. We're fading out. No! And that more or less sums up my feelings on the matter, in the simplest of terms, of course. Essentially, to formally establish a forensic investigation division within Scotland Yard, that is my mission. Oh, right, yes. That's wonderful. Exactly. Wonderful is precisely what it will be. The game. Iris isn't paying attention at all. She got her nose in another book now. Oh. Did you learn anything useful? I actually drifted off for the most part. I'm surprisingly adherent about forensic science. Okay, so is there any point to present this? Well, that reminds me. Have you seen this? The reports of the overwhelming success of the Great Exhibition, of course. No, not that. Let's turn on the back page. What story? The Reaper attacked. Ah, that. You've enjoyed some victories in court against my #1 prosecutor, have you not? Poor Mr. Reaper. What happened to him? He wasn't killed, was he? There's no need for concern. Lord Van Zieks would not be so easily dispatched, I assure you. Can you tell us what happened? I'd really love to know. Very well. If it interests you. It does, strangely. Fortunately, Lord Van Zieks emerged from the attack unscathed. Street ruffians are no match for that man. He's a very capable fighter. But that's incredible. They were armed with guns. Why was he attacked, though? Do we know? It's related to events that occurred a month ago. A leader of one of the capital's criminal organizations was indicted and prosecuted by Van Zieks. But the man was acquitted. I've no doubt large sums of money were involved behind the scenes. Large sums of money. A deplorable situation. Members of the jury were bribed, it seems. However, despite winning his freedom, the man in question met a dramatic end yesterday. But you're not suggesting that it was the work of the Reaper, surely? The victim's henchmen certainly seemed to think so. He was a man by the name of Asmon. Mr. Odie Asmon. Did you say Asmon? That's the man who died in the big explosion of the Great Exhibition. Yes, known publicly as an investor, but in reality, the head of a significant criminal organization. Unbelievable. More like the Creeper? I wonder, can I ask you something, Lord Strongheart? Try me. Why do you use Lord Van Zieks as a prosecutor? It's an interesting question. All the criminals who manage to get off in court then meet with the mysterious end outside the courtroom, and fearful of that fate, they seek to strike at Lord Van Zieks first. I know there's no evidence that he actually is the Reaper in that sense, but still, something is clearly going on here. I have Van Zieks work for the prosecution service for 2 reasons. Firstly, the man is the best prosecutor in the capital, bar none. And secondly, any deaths or criminals that have occurred outside the courtroom following his trials are nothing to do with him. That doesn't make sense. How can you explain the way so many have died if not by someone's hand? Van Zieks may have earned himself the moniker of the Reaper, but he is no killer. So he will continue to prosecute on behalf of the Crown. Unless he wishes otherwise, of course. Well, I must be leaving for my next engagement. I'm already 11 hours and 16 minutes late. My colleagues may be starting to fidget. 11 hours late? That's quite something. For someone so punctual, even. The meeting had already started when I had arrived back here for this engagement with you. So lateness was inevitable. Time stops for no man. I'm sure it stopped for me during those 12 solid arguments and 223 reasons. Oh yes, where would I find Lord Van Zieks now? I would assume he's at his office. Right, I'll go and ask him about the attack in person. I want to get this straight from the horse's mouth. Away with you now. I am leaving Professor Hairbrain's defense entirely in your hands. Oh, of course, yes. Thank you very much, my lord. Goodness. We get to take me when you go. Alright, so let's go to prison first. There's a timer on that one. 2nd of October. At least there's not going to be any snow. The warden said cell 11. That's this one. Oh! There's someone curled up in a ball in the back corner. Look. What's his name again? Professor Albert Harebrain, wasn't it? Excuse me, Professor Harebrain. Who are you? I'm Rinosuke Naruhado. I'm a defense lawyer. A lawyer? I don't know what kind of voice to give this guy. Ah, what's this thing I said? A lawyer, you say? Would you be here about the experiment? Are you going to defend my hypothesis? Your hypothesis? Sorry, I don't... Yesterday's the demonstration! That was magnificent demonstration was... It was an out-and-out success by anyone's calculations! But despite that, no one listens. No lawyer believes in the science. When it's explained, they all leave at high velocity. Now it's probably not a good time to mention that your zeal made my concentration leave for a while, too. Alright, well... you mentioned the demonstration yesterday. The papers have called it a spectacular failure. After all, a man died in the explosion, didn't he? Ah! Ah! Yes, you could interpret the results that way if you really wanted to. Well, I suppose, in the strictest sense, the experiment was a failure. But at the same time, it was a great success. You've lost me. I saw with my own eyes, right there in front of me. Mr. Asman was spontaneously disassembled. Until then, everything was going exactly as my calculations had predicted. At that point, he should have been beamed to the Crystal Tower by instantaneous kinesis. However, the machine exploded and Mr. Asman, in fact, perished. Yes, I can't deny that part of the experiment was a failure. So what you're really saying is the large explosion that killed Mr. Asman was an accident, correct? But the bigwigs had you arrested on suspicion of murder. I was responsible for a man's death. That is the immountable truth here. And for that, I wish to be punished. At once! But... Murder! Never in a million years! It was an accident! Simply an accident! I see. Hurley and I were talking about this morning, you know. He said the situation would change completely depending on whether it was treated as an accident or murder. How exactly? Well, if it really was an accident, then the professor's machine would be kept in protective custody. On what grounds? Ah, yes, it's newly established here in Britain. The Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. That one passed me by. But if the case is treated as murder, then they'll say my machine was the murder weapon, and they're able to pour it over as much as I like. If they examine it in detail, they'll find out how it's made, and then they'll be able to copy my idea. My present hypothesis will be stolen. The machine must be protected from that at all costs. That's why it's imperative that the whole incident is shown to have been an accident in tomorrow's trial. Ah, I see now. I hope this voice works. I hope I don't forget it later. So in short, there was a terrible accident at the Great Exhibition, not the Great Britain Exhibition, the Great Exhibition under Showground yesterday. Yes! Or rather, no, the devil's in the details. Strictly speaking, there was a terrible explosion. Sounds the same to me. You were demonstrating super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, weren't you? How fascinating. Humans, like all matter, are made up of particles that are held together by electrical bonds. So it's possible, using a sufficiently high voltage, to break those bonds and beam the particles through space, or electrocute someone. With apples instead of humans. That's in a nutshell. That's my idea. You see, that's my amazing hypothesis. Gosh, that's some unimaginably high-level science. No, but dare to imagine it! Dare to dream of such incredible technology! Just think, one moment I could be here in this cell, and the next I could be at the Great Exhibition again! Well, yes, that would be incredible. And the next time you're blink of an eye, I could be at the Great Partisan Theater, say. The possibilities are endless. The whole of our vast planet would be within reach. So no more hiding in wardrobes on rocky seas for 50 days. I don't really see it like that. What do you mean, Iris? Well, if you could travel anywhere in the world instantly, the planet wouldn't really seem vast anymore, would it? I think it would feel like it had shrunk. My word, that's exactly right! What are the implications? What does this mean? Whoops. That got Professor Bunnybrain really worried by the look of it. Clearly this is yet another case of just because you can doesn't mean you should, I suppose. The point is, my calculations are flawless. The science works. Without a practical demonstration, it means nothing. And that's always the fly in the ointment. Because practical demonstrations cost a lot of money. Money that young scientists like you don't have. That's exactly it, yes. Hurley's always complaining about it. He says the government should invest more in science. Well, anyway, I bumped into him at the right time. I met the well-known investor, Mr. Asman. The victim who died in yesterday's terrible accident, I mean. The full name of the man who died in yesterday's accident was Mr. Odie Asman, wasn't it? What exactly was your relationship to the man? He first visited me in my laboratory in Germany a year ago now. He said he's German. Do I start talking in German now? He's German this whole time. Well, I guess he's has a lab in Germany. He's not necessarily. He probably is German. He said he wanted to invest in my immaculate hypothesis. I thanked my lucky stars. I see, so you hadn't really known each other until then. Money for scientific research? I'm so envious. As far as I was concerned, the man was an angel. Oh, really? An archangel, even. Of course he's German. He was prepared to fund my practical demonstration of my hypothesis for presentation at the Great Exhibition. And if that went well, I could expect additional financial support from my research from the British government. Mr. Hasman provided me with money and an exceptional engineer. He produced a machine to my precise specifications. But then your dreams were blown to dust in one enormous explosion. As you can see, I owed everything to Mr. Hasman. I would never, ever have thought of taking the man's life. Well, he seems genuine enough. I don't think he is lying. He had too much to gain from it. Let me see if this says anything. How could this have happened? You must feel awful. As well as a man losing his life, the Crystal Tower was greatly damaged too. I know what happened. It must have been that. The day before the demonstration, I had my usual meal of frankfurters at the hotel restaurant. When I paid the bill, they gave me 3 shillings too much in change. But instead of saying anything, I just slipped the coins in my pocket. They're still there now. It's divine retribution for my wrongdoing. That's what this is. For a scientist, he has some very illogical anecdotes. Long and illogical. Okay, that was not worth the time. Okay, well, I guess we're done with this for now. If you let your concentration slip, you might miss what people say. That's fair. You haven't been to this place yet. Don't forget to take me with you when you go. Her hat is silly and cute, but it's also weird. The prosecutor's office. Also, this is the legendary Reaper's office. Yes, it appears so. Dude! He has 3 bottles and like 12 chalices over there. It sends a chill down your spine, doesn't it? What an amazingly deathly atmosphere. Oh, is that... There he is. The hooded figure was so still I hadn't noticed his or her presence. Wonder who it is. What are you doing here? Ah! There he is! He's as unwelcoming as I thought he'd be. Actually, maybe even more so. Oh, I'm glad to see you're well. I am. So, who's the person over by the wall being punished for something or other? No punishment is taking place here. Oh. Oh, that's not him? That's my apprentice, and he's sitting there of his own free will. I didn't know you had an apprentice. It must be the same person who was pictured in the newspaper. He is very able in combat, a requisite skill for anyone under my tutelage. Are you referring to the attack on the Reaper that was reported in the papers? The Reaper? I'd be interested to know the Reaper's true identity myself. Assuming that is such a fabled fiend genuinely inhabits our great courtrooms. We've never talked with him outside of the court except at the end of that one case. Lord Strongheart said that the assault last night was some sort of revenge attack? It's true. Carried out by the henchmen of Odi Asman's criminal organization. The investigation meant their arrests were imminent, presumably some hope to kill me before that happened. Odi Asman. He has always masqueraded as one of London's most powerful financiers, a global investor. But his enormous wealth came to him by underhand means via his criminal activities. I know he's not actually this accent, but I like it's one I can do, and it kind of fits. It's the vampire though, and he used that money to buy himself a verdict of not guilty when he found himself in court, didn't he? Being prosecuted by you, Mr. Reaper. But the man got his comeuppance in the end. Yesterday, in fact, in extraordinary circumstances, it was a most unusual cause of death. I know about that. It was super high voltage entity's kinesis gone wrong. Oh, Mr. Asman died when the demonstration on the public experimentation stage ended in an enormous explosion. Correct. And you think I have some kind of divine ability to cause an accident like that to happen, do you? Well, no, that does seem a little far-fetched. If this man really is the fabled Reaper, then he has to be innocent of this particular death at least. It's strange how this sport has worked out, hasn't it, Runo? I mean, what with you taking on the professor's defense for the trial tomorrow? What? You're going to be defending him? Oh yes, that's right. Though I barely know the man's name yet, to be honest. Albert. Albert Harebrain. Is that right? Do you know him by any chance? Of course. He's a contemporary of mine. We were at university together. What? Well, this is interesting. I understood that Professor Harebrain was from Germany, though. Harebrain's from a respectable British family. Okay, so he's not German. After graduating from the University of London, he moved to Germany to carry out research. That's all. Okay, so his slightly British flamboyancy is actually correct. Good, I'm glad I didn't switch. So you were students together. I was in the Faculty of Law, of course, and he in Science, so our paths rather crossed. But curiously, we got along, though I've not met him since my university days. I certainly didn't expect our next encounter to take this form. And with you, of all people, representing him. Ugh. Only if I make it out of this office alive. He's actually been charged with murder, it seems. Yes, science, though, because the prosecution will be handled by me. By you? But you made it sound as if you and the professor had been friends. We are friends, it's true. Then why would you do this? If the Reaper is the prosecutor, there's nothing anyone can do to save him. He's doomed! I've done it several times already! This is what's Lord Van Zeek's thinking? It's still his job. He still has to do it. What do you mean by what you said before? if you'd like to know the Reaper's true identity, does that mean I am a crown prosecutor and immortal like any other? I am no demigod. But they've all died, haven't they? The people you prosecuted, I mean. Whether or not the trial ended in a conviction or an acquittal, those I prosecute are the vilest wretches of our society. People who, without question, deserve to be found guilty. The world is a better place without them. But that's not true of Mr. Natsume, for example. He wasn't a vile wretch at all. Nor was Jenny. In fact, she's ever so hardworking now. I can't deny that since I encountered you, things have taken a turn. But the point is this. If any of those vile wretches that escaped justice subsequently died in mysterious circumstances, it was at the hands of their own kind. It's not my work. Lord Strongheart said the same. He believes you're not involved in any way. But you were attacked by those ruffians because they believe it's true. The fact is, since people started to call me the Reaper of the Bailey, the number of serious crimes in the capital has dropped substantially. Oh, it would appear that even the most hardened criminals can be made fearful for their lives. Almost like he's Batman. Hey, Ice, how you doing? I don't understand the well, neither, Isolate. Do you mean to say... I mean to say that if my Fosudium serves a useful purpose, I adopt it gladly, and with honor. But it's putting you in danger. You could be killed. If that is my fate, let God decide. Lord Van Zeeks. Do I have any... Can I guess I'll present the paper to him. I've been doing it to everybody. Lord Van Zeeks, about the article in this paper. Ah, yes. It seems there was a reporter nearby when that skirmish took place. I had no idea I'd been photographed. It was careless of me. Wait, I couldn't tell which one it was him. Though it looks like it was taken after the people who attacked you had run away, though. So rest assured, the police have already apprehended every last one of them. But there's someone else fighting alongside you, it seems. And I think it's the same man who's sitting over there as we speak, isn't it? Could be a woman. Doesn't need to be a man. There's bats in here! There's bats in here! I have a contract for Vampire Hunter. We're here to kill him. Don't hear me out. He's kind of mean. Where did I drop something? Where did it go? Oh, well. Oh, I see it. As I've mentioned already, he's my apprentice. Perhaps you could tell us a little more about him? Probably not. I guess he will? Okay. Does money laundering. He's in my tutelage to become a prosecutor. So you could say that he's my apprentice, I suppose. Ah, like you are to Hurley then, Runo. What? No! I don't remember taking an apprenticeship with a great detective. He's currently compiling a report about last night's attack. It looks like he's wearing some kind of mask. On Lord Strongheart's orders. Nobody knows the man's face, or indeed his identity. But why would you agree to take on such a clearly suspicious individual? Lord Strongheart's orders again. He's not one for meaningless follies. There will be a good reason for his actions. I hope you're right. Did he leave or come? Oh! Hello? Wait a second. Why do I feel like I know this jawline now? And that yellow eye. There's just something about this person that feels familiar. And this is actually me thinking. I do not have any spoilers of what this character is. Ah. The text is complete. Good. In that case, you can collate all the briefs. Okay. Not saying it is, and even if it was, I don't know how it would even make any possible sense. But the thought crossed my mind of, what if this is Kazuma? Whatever happened, like I can't remember how Kazuma died. He fell and hit his head, right? What if there's so many facets to this weird conspiracy that what if the reason it's Herlock. What if the reason we were brought along was because Kazuma knew he wasn't going to be able to be the defense attorney and wanted to train us to do it? Because clearly there's a lot of shady nonsense going on about not only with, well, literally everyone important. So that's kind of my thought process. Like, to make it such a secret thing, it's like, it makes me wonder. But, get the out of here. I'm not sure how it would work, but, like, everyone's got their noses to the grindstones about this whole thing, and it makes me wonder. Plus, he's also a swordsman, so, I mean, there's also that. Anyway, let us continue. We'll never move on if I just stay here and theorize the whole time. Is that a real eye or a fake eyeball? Nice to meet you. Didn't even speak. Just turns back around. Back to work again. Dude, the bats in this room. I scared. I think this bot back up my contract. Vampires be scary. If it's Herlock, I'm buzzing. Okay. That was really strange, though. I've never met the man before. Didn't even know he existed. And yet, somehow it didn't feel like our first encounter. See what I'm saying? Don't bother trying to converse with him. He says nothing to everybody outside of this office. Lord Strongheart has strictly forbidden it. Oh, I see. Why are you so interested in my apprentice anyway? Oh, no, I mean... Sorry, I didn't mean to. The way he stood there so casually, yet with that flawless posture. It could be. Could be what? If only we had a wind blowing out of nowhere, that would prove it. Yes, there's something I've been meaning to ask you. Oh, what's that? That Nipponese man, is he faring well? Sorry? The one arrested twice in succession 6 months ago, with the stoop, and the moustache, and the jitters. Ah, Mr. Natsume, you mean? I'm not sure he'd be very pleased to find out you identified him from that list, Runo. Shh. He's fine, thank you. In fact, I received a letter from him by international post on the other day. I see. Well, I think we can end our discussions there, don't you? There's little time left before tomorrow's trial. I advise you to spend it investigating the case. Yes, thank you for your advice and for the conversation. Can't believe he's asking after Soseki-san. After a Nipponese. We're in the office. See, he's asking about Soseki-san too, because you know who else asked about Soseki-san? Freaking Mr. Sholmes and freaking Mr. Makotoba. You know, Sasato's dad. I'm not sure whether to feel happy about that or worried. I never imagined that Mr. Reaper would be friends with a mad scientist, did you? That's a turn up for the books. A mad scientist? Oh, you mean the Professor Hairbrain. Yes, it might be worth quizzing the professor about his relationship with Lord Van Zieks, I think. Oh, God. Alright, let's move on. I don't think there's anything else. Rooms so dark, Mr. Reaper's eyesight will suffer terribly if he's not careful. Well, there's nowhere else to go but prison, except for back to work. Let's see. Oh, there we go. It's in here. Maybe I should have visited the... I understand Lord Van Zieks is a friend of yours from your university days? Yes, that's right. He was studying law while I was studying science. What was he like back then? Good question. Unassuming, gentlemanly, and all around nice fellow, really? I'd choose a prison over work any day. Sorry, I think you misheard me. Talking about the cold-hearted, merciless prosecutor, Barik Van Zieks? What was he like when he was at university? Talk about a leading question, Runo. As I said, an unassuming and extremely pleasant gentleman. After all, he is the little darling of the Van Zieks family, with all its great aristocratic origins. I didn't realize he had quite such noble blood. Little darling. It was a bit of a shock when I came back to Britain and learned what he'd become. The Reaper of the Paley, no less. Yes, that's right. Hey, I did hear, though, that there was a very big event in his life that completely changed him after graduation. Really? What sort of event? Ah! I'm sorry, but I don't know anymore. I wasn't in the country at the time. I was in Germany already. Oh, yes, of course. If he's heard all about the Reaper, I really don't have the heart to tell him that Lord Van Zieks will be the prosecutor in court tomorrow. So, Professor, let me just make absolutely sure I've understood you properly. The huge explosion that occurred yesterday, that was an accident, you're saying. You had no intent to harm the victim, who was in fact the sole investor in your work. Is that correct? As correct as 2 squares 4! I swear it! Yes, it's true that the man perished in a machine of my invention, so I know that I'm far from blameless in all this, but still, how did you my discoveries, my inventions to take a person's life? Not in a centillion years! I'm a man of science, that's all I know! You have to believe me, please! Do you believe me? Do you believe in my hypothesis? Science is the pursuit of truth, you know. I've always believed that, all my life. Goodness. I'm afraid I don't know much about science or your theories, but I do believe you, and I will fight to prove your innocence with all my might. I'm a man of the law. It's all I know. You have to believe me, please. When I went to live in Germany after I graduated, I learned something very important. Nationality, class, lineage, none of that matters. As long as you try your hardest, you can achieve anything. Thank you for that, Professor. And thank you in advance for defending me in court tomorrow. Alright, Runo. It's time. Time to visit the Great Exhibition. Sorry? Well, that's where the incident happened, isn't it? Girl, don't point that gun at me! Yes, I suppose that's true. Time to investigate it last. New verification was added. Poor Professor Bunny Brain. Don't worry, we'll come to your rescue. She's like a bunny brain. Oh, I love it. I don't think there's any reason to go to those other places, so just keep going. Alright, let's get down to the business. Holy crap, there's a mess on the ground over there. Great Exhibition Grounds, foot of the Crystal Tower. The showgrounds are a little too big for my liking. We've been rocking around in dense crowd. Excuse me. I don't know where that came from. We've been rocking around in dense crowd for 2 hours now, and I felt myself swooning 3 times. What a baby. There are a lot of people, aren't there? I've almost been trodden on 3 times, too. Be careful, won't you, Iris? Don't let go of my hand. We finally made it through the thongs, though, by the look of it. Here we are, underneath the public experimentation stage where the explosion happened yesterday. What's that? What's what? I can hear voices from up on the stage. Sounds like an argument. Alright, I've had it with you this time. I'm warning you. I'll arrest you in a minute. Oh, yeah? Go on, Inspector. Give it a shot. You ain't got no evidence, you know it. Oh, it's her again. Wait, I know those voices. I don't know. You get a cheeky little mouth on you, young lady, but it ain't in the cells to teach you some manners. Just try it, I dare you. If you want a big bag of chips rammed down your throat. Yo, yoo-hoo, Gregsy, what are you doing up there? I mean, it has been over 6 months. Oh no. Eh! Yeah! It's you! Here, you're here! Here you are, you're here! Your ladyship! How are you, your ladyship? I hope you're well, your ladyship. Does that make her 3 times a lady? I'm not well at all. It's far too busy everywhere. I wanted to ride in a balloon, but there was a 3-hour queue. Unbelievable! I'll go and have a word for you at once, your ladyship. You'll be flying as high as a kite in no time once I pull some strings for you. Tobias Gregson, an inspector in Scotland Yard. I know, I haven't forgotten him. Till recently, he was suspended from duty, but it would appear that he's back in action now. Okay, I guess that was, important to know. He's actually quite well known, appearing as he does in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. I've forgotten him. For that reason, I can't say a word wrong to the story's author, Iris. But there are limits, surely. Or there should be. Watch it, Sunshine! Sorry. He's breaking the fourth wall here. What gives, then? Don't tell me you're on this case. Yes, I'm acting for the defense. We're here to investigate. Dear me, that's the situation, is it? Is it really that troubling? Measly 5 bob, that all you got? You're a lawyer, ain't you? You can stand to carry a bit more copper on your pockets, Mr. Narado. What? Hey! That's my last bit of spending money, that is! You can have it back, but I have to charge you for all the 3 bob. Wait, what? What's her name? This is Jenna Lestrade, a pickpocket, or diver, born and bred in the East End of London. In the case that led to my own suspension 6 months ago. This is the young girl I was defending in court. What's your problem, man, Otto? Diver, pickpocket? What's with all the name calling? You want a bag of chips straight down your throat and all, do you? I thought you were proud to be a diver, Jenna. You were just arguing with Inspector Gregson about it, weren't you? I assumed you've been up to your usual tricks here at the showground. Hey, ain't no way to talk to a lady, Otto. After years a long time, people can change. I'm an apprentice now, learning to be a Scotland Yard detective. So you'll have to call me what everyone else does. It's Inspector Lestrade now. Wait, what? Inspector? That badge is homemade, surely. It looks like cardboard. The inspector part isn't entirely accurate. No one calls her that. For what it's worth, anyway. Investigating is off the cards for all of us. What? What's that supposed to mean? Right, well, I'll be back up top. You hold the fort down here, right? Alright, sir. Your Honor, that's Cap. This raises a lot of questions. How am I supposed to freaking... Alright, well. So what's going on with you? It was 8 months ago now that I first encountered Jenna in connection with a case I was working on. At the time, she was living in the East End with a group of other orphans. She helped all of them survive by pickpocketing, but then she got embroiled in a murder. Gingerbread Herlock. Nah, she's just an old pickpocket. I had a lot of time to think in prison. I realized I couldn't go on like I was. The diving weren't working out. Oh, I'm so pleased to hear it, Jenny. Well done. So, you went from being a pickpocket to a detective? You got it. Good, isn't it? Inspector Lestrade. Sounds like something out of a book, eh? Let's talk about a sea change. And then there's Iris's old man think about... Iris's father, you mean? Yeah, I promised her, didn't I? I said I'd get all the police forces around the world to pull out all the stops looking for him. Just a small promise, then. Nothing serious. Oh, Jenny, you're too sweet. Or you're so sweet. So anyway, that's how I came to Atago for the test of Scotland Yard. Only trouble is, I don't read so well, do I? Just a small problem. Nothing serious. And that's when Hurley approached Gregsy and asked for help. Wait, you knew this? So the inspector said he'd take full responsibility for Jenny and make her a sort of apprentice. That was very magnanimous of Mr. Gregson, and brave. Well, you know Hurley. He enjoys finding ways to make people do what he wants. The great detective likes digging for dirt, in other words. So, the long and short of it is, if you got questions about the case, you can ask Inspector Lestrade. Right then, Inspector. Actually, there's still a big mystery surrounding Jenna, isn't there? She's like one of the best designed characters in this game, to be honest. Hey, what's up? My name is Jenny. I never learned how to read. She's just like Pitt. I never learned how to read. Oh, what, Runa? What? Oh, she was reading my mind again. Well, 6 months ago, Jenna was a defendant in a trial prosecuted by the Reaper. A trial in which she was found not guilty. And yet here she is still. Why are we still on to this? Come on, you're still on about that, are you? The Legend of the Reaper, whatever it's called. Cool, don't you have Otto? I cannot read that accent. It's half difficult just to speak it. If I didn't half worry, there probably wouldn't be a whole lot of you left. It's like I told you before, ain't it? Reapers all like I'm upstairs, so one knows what I'm like on the inside. Ain't really nothing wrong. Nothing wrong might be stretching a point. What about Mr. Natsumi in Japan? He's perfectly fine, isn't he? Well, that's true. Perhaps the Reaper is more discerning than I thought. Exactly, so I ain't worried. I'm totally fine. She does kind of look like an inspector with the hat. Course, how this world was. The bunny bug pulled a bunch of levers on his machine and suddenly started blowing smoke. Oh, billowing smoke. I love Jesus. Then it just went pop. Ain't seen a bad experiment there yet. Sorry? You mean you saw it, Jenny? With your own eyes? Yeah, of course. Boss is in charge, ain't he? Keeping everything running smooth, I mean. The boss being Inspector Gregson, I suppose. That's going to take some getting used to. So all I have to say is that I'm on duty. I can do whatever I want to. Get this, I was up on one of them fine balloons when it happened, watching it from above. No, you're so lucky, Jenny. Maybe I should join Scotland Yard, too. Yeah, do it. You know I'll pull the boss's place on you. I just, yeah, no trouble at all. Then it's settled. When do I start? No. You can't join Scotland Yard, Iris. We'll see. Anyway, what I don't understand is this. If the machine exploded so spectacularly, how can Professor Bunnybrain still be claiming that his experiment was a success? Oh, what? Well, it was a success in a way. It was? How can it have been? I want to know. Surely after the whole machine blew up, no one would call the experiment a success. It's like I said, it did sort of work. I mean, yeah, there was a load of smoke and that whopping great bang. But where do you think they found the victim's body? In the Crystal Tower over there. What? In the tower? That explains... You can see it for yourself, can't you? Up there on the scaffold. Oh, were all the glasses broken, you mean? It was a success in that it killed 15 people. Yeah, Cage what the victim got in start with. Really did get banged through the air, whatever, and landed all the way over there. That is... So, you see? It did kind of work, didn't it? No! It didn't teleport him. It just blasted him over there. That's not a success! My God. What?! I don't believe it. I mean, I don't get ins and outs of it, but anything's possible, right? With science. Oh, I tell you what, you can have this. It's a plain old experiment they drew up at the yard. Are you sure? Yeah, go on. Add a bob off for your force. That's not fair. I did not read that in any form of words. Yes, I didn't actually give that to you, did I? You don't even remember. Check out him in his space travel. Pulls the grenade. Oh my God. Something Inspector Gregson said before seemed a little strange. For what it's worth, anyway. Investigating is off the cards for all of us. Yes, naughty old Greggs. He ran off after that without explaining himself. Oh, right. The boss said no one's allowed to investigate that weird machine. What blew up yesterday? Well, that's not fair. We're representing the defendant. In that case, could you at least tell us what you've learned from your investigations? Nah, you're not getting it. We ain't allowed to investigate neither. Why? What did the boss call them again? The Forensic Investigation Team, I think. Anyway, apart from them lot, no one's allowed to lay a finger on the scene. Bit funny, ain't it? So even Scotland Yards or detectives can't investigate. Yes, I've never heard something like that before. Thought I could have gained it quiet though, but boss caught me at it. You probably heard him give me a earful bad full from down here, didn't you? It's not bleeding fair. I think you were giving him as much of an earful back as I remember it. Yeah, well, sometimes I think it's all them chips and what make him so stubborn. You say something to him, Otto? Go on, see if you can get through him. He's up on the platform above us, isn't he? Where the machine exploded is? We can try, can't we, Runo? Grigsby will listen to us. What we need to get is Mr. Sholmes. He'll listen to Sholmes. Is it a new location? No, I just need to, okay, those stairs obviously lead to the stage above. We should go up there and investigate the exact spot where the experiment was being conducted. Okay, that's how I get up there. Holy, it's a giant megaphone laser. Bro, steampunk era experiments are always really fun. So that's it, is it? The machine that blew up. Oh, it must have been a magnificent explosion. And I've seen my fair share. You've seen things like this before, you mean? Of course, Hurley's always doing experiments that end up in a bang. In fact, his own words, explosions are the very essence of chemistry. Ah, that might explain the smell of burning that frequently comes wafting up the stairs. One time, he made something that exploded with such force it shook the roof off the building. Or took the roof. I wish you could have been there to see it, Runo. It's hard to get too excited about that, given that I now live in the roof. Well, anyway, that's enough about that. It's time to investigate. There he is. Oh, look, Inspector Grayson's over there. He seems to be deep in thought about something, while he's eyeing up the machine carefully. Really? He just looks confused to me. Well, that's probably true as well. It ripped apart magnificently, didn't it? Magnificently. And mercilessly. Someone stands in the middle of this machine to be disassembled and then beamed through the air. Yes, beamed. Not blasted. That's the point. Yes, that part's crucial, really. The child understands the fundamentals of teleportation more than adults do. But the childs in these games always seem to be way smarter than the adults anyway. It's just always funny that way. Is something like that even possible, though, Iris? Oh, Runo, I'm just a child. How should I know? A child when it suits you, you mean? From what I can tell, I think if you were to pull this lever here... Stop! Don't touch that! That was practically instantaneous kinesis the way you flew over here just now, Gregsy. Please, your ladyship, I didn't mean to startle you, but I can't let you touch anything up here. Oh, sorry. You can have some of my latest special blend to make up for it. Look. Ah, wonderful. This stuff really is wonderful. It's just like old times, this is. I can already tell you this series needed another game. We're presenting Professor Harebrained in the court tomorrow, Inspector. So we should be allowed to examine the scene. Listen, Sunshine. Even I'm not allowed to touch anything up here. That blasted Special Disposition for Scientific Equipment Act is to blame. It's driving me potty. Oh yes, that Special Disposition. The professor mentioned that too. More red tape's all we need. I don't know what the government thinks it's playing at sometimes. But we're allowed to just look, aren't we? Surely that's alright, isn't it, Gregsy? Of course, your ladyship. Anything you say, your ladyship. But please don't get your dainty hands dirty, will you? Don't worry. We wouldn't dream of touching anything, would we, Runo? She said like a liar. She really knows how to get what she wants. Bro, those 10-year-olds are dangerous. Alright, what do you got to say? Government policy. Using high-voltage electricity to somehow disassemble a man's body and then beam him across to the Crystal Tower. It's an extraordinary thing to attempt, especially in public. True, it was by far the most unusual of the experiments planned for the exhibition, mind. To be honest, I'm a bit surprised it was allowed. Carrying out something so dangerous with so many spectators present, I mean. The government's doing everything it can to promote new science and technology at the moment. They're more worried about being ahead of the game than the spot of public safety infringements. They can be the first to develop some new technology. It makes Britain more powerful in the future, you see. Yes, I suppose that's true, in a way. So the powers that be are placing a heavy emphasis on the scientists' rights at the moment. What sort of rights? Well, they're making it so that any theories the brains have remained in their legal property, as it were. Right through developing it into a practical idea and even going into production. Which is the infuriating reason us coppers aren't allowed to even touch this crime scene. Because the new High-Fanulin Special Disposition for Scientific Equipment Act forbids it. Ah, I see now. The only people with permission to investigate here are some brand new equipment due department at the yard. The Forensic Investigation Team, it's called. We've been relegated to keeping guard. The Forensic Investigation Team. Any old fool could see this heap of scrap metal was a sham to begin with. But just because it says scientific equipment on the paperwork, we can't do a flammin' thing with it. Poor Gregsy. He's very heat up, isn't he? Special disposition. Remind me again, what's this new legal act that means we're not allowed to touch the scene here? Are you having me at it, sunshine? It's a special disposition for Scientific Equipment Act. Yes, I think Hurley mentioned that recently, with a real twinkle in his eyes, I remember. I'm sure he did, your ladyship. I'm sure he did. Past especially for this great exhibition it was. All scientists have to do is present their ideas or inventions, some suits at the civil service. And if it gets rubber stamped, that's a guarantee of rights to maintain the invention's confidentiality. What does that really mean? Think about it. If all of the world changing new inventions on display every day at this exhibition, although a good half of them are a load of cobblers if you ask me, put forward by shamblers like yourself. Thanks for that. Executing a prisoner, make him do time traveling. That sounds like an episode of the Twilight Zone. Oh, I love how absurd some of the inventions are here. It's all so fun. Yeah, it might be fun to you, but a member of the Force has to be present at every single demonstration. Can you imagine it? Hang science, that's what I say. Oh, I don't think so. That sounds like my dream job. You'd soon think otherwise after spending a day guarding all these shamblers' bogus contraptions. But if they're all bogus, how can anyone hope to demonstrate them? There'd be no point. Yeah, well, there is a point, sadly. Sorry? Thanks to another of our government's bright ideas, if any theory or invention is deemed to show potential, the government hands out a research grant. The scientists getting funding? Exactly. And that's what they're all after. All these shamblers coming from far and wide to clog up Hyde Park. And who has to keep them all safe, eh? Who has to smile politely and welcome them? Us coppers, that's who. So you can see why I say it now, can't you? Hang science! Hang it! Oh, maybe I can see your point. Professor Harebrain? Apparently Professor Harebrain lives and works in Germany now, conducting his research. That's right. Came back to Britain especially for the Great Exhibition, as I understand it. Probably after one of them government's research grants. Actually, we learned something else about the professor earlier today, about his time in further education. Turns out he was at university with someone we both know, Lord Van Zieks. What's that? That's news to me. But if Zieks mans the prosecution, then as the accused, the professor's fate is sealed. Because of the Reaper will get him one way or the other. Blimey, that man's beyond me. I don't know what goes on in that head of his. Talking of Van Zieks, this morning's paper ran the story of him being attacked. Read that? Oh yes, but Mr. Reaper is completely fine. Nothing to worry about. Yes, right. Glad to hear it. Still, the Reaper, huh? How long is that business going to keep up, I wonder? Oh, so much talking. The victim of this case, the investor, Mr. Asman, he was another of the Reaper's victims, or so I heard. Lord Barrick Von Zakes is a top-class prosecutor, but even he can't always push the right verdict through. Sometimes justice can't win. Yes, I've heard about jurors being bribed and evidence being falsified. And that's how the notion of the Reaper of the Bailey came about, isn't it? Obviously, Scotland Yard suspected Van Zakes initially. We all assumed he was taking matters into his own hands as if he failed to seal the deal in court, although the man himself denies that charge. Well, we've done a very thorough investigation, and the conclusions we reached is that Lord Van Zakes is in no way related to the deaths of the people outside the courtroom. There's no question in my mind. I'd stake my reputation on it, I would. But if that's true, then how do you explain it? All those defendants just couldn't have convincingly died if nobody killed them. I know that, but I can't explain it. It's a mystery, after all, isn't it? The whole point of the Reaper. Professor Harebrained mentioned something else. He said that at university, Lord Van Zakes was a totally different person. Easygoing and kind. What? He said that it was after they both graduated that something happened that changed the man. Do you have any idea what that was? No clue. Really? Look, I've got my hands full watching over this frustrating crime scene. Why don't you go and make a nuisance of yourself elsewhere, eh? Well, that sounds like someone deflecting. Andrew, have you read this paper? Yeah, 2 unwelcome blasts back to back. This one at the exhibition and the Reaper getting attacked. I know, terrible news to wake up to, wasn't it? I tried to pretend I hadn't read it and turned over for another 40 winks. Thanks to that, I was laid up and got roasted from the super. Some mornings are like that, aren't they? Okay, this is not important. That's a nice, I don't want to talk to you. Okay, so what can we look at? Considering how badly damaged everything is, Professor Harrigan was lucky to escape unscathed, I'd say. We should have a good look around the machine while we can, I think. Touch anything and I'll make sure I kill you before I get struck up myself, you hear? I won't touch a thing, I promise, so please spare a thought for your digestion. Anyway, do you really think this machine can actually disassemble people like the professor claims? Yes, looking totally incredulous. Give it a rest, Sunshine. If we were allowed to examine all this bleeding scrap metal, maybe we could answer that question. But we can't, can we? Because of the annoying rules, you mean? Exactly! The annoying, obstructing, flaming rules! Oh, look at the base of the machine here. Oh yes, there's a tool of some kind poking through the wire mesh. It's a screwdriver, I think. Oh, isn't it a lovely one? The handle was in the shape of a capital letter A. It is? Oh yes, you're right. What's the matter with you? Don't touch anything I said! Touch anything and I'll make sure I... Okay, you said that already. Yes, I understand. Sorry. I only touched it a teeny tiny bit. But Gracie, I'm very curious about the screwdriver. Really, very, very curious. Of course, your ladyship. You're so clever, your ladyship. Fancy spotting something like this. But I'm afraid I can't let you have it. But Bruno found it first. I assure you I'll investigate it thoroughly. What? He's gone off with it. Huh, that was very mean, I'm afraid. Professor Grayson is going to make a very clumsy and embarrassing mistake in next month's installment now. No! Poor Gregsy. He's not here now. What's that? There are all sorts of strange buildings here in the Great Exhibition Grounds, aren't there? I seem to remember something similar being exhibited in Japan one time. Oh, in your country, Runa? I do wish I could go and see it. An present a particularly steely samurai with a present of one of Hurley's stories I'd written specifically. And see if I couldn't get Hurley to jam against those Barsitu Master Ninjas. You might not find as many of those sorts of people around you as you think. Oh, well, that's dull. Oh, but I do know a prosecutor with a Chon Mage top knot I could introduce you to. A Chon Mage? Really? Do you think I could have my picture taken with him, do you? Assuming he's recovered from the trim Kazuma gave him a year ago. Yes, well, about that. Sasato kind of took care of that. What is that gigantic thing over there? It looks like an enormous water wheel. Oh, that's a Ferris wheel. There'll be people riding inside those little cabins you can see. Why? Well, they rotate nice and slowly, so it's a wonderful way to see the surrounding scenery. Wait, it's turning? But it looks completely still. Yes, that's because it's turning so slowly. One complete revolution takes about half an hour. If you were mad enough to go on one, it would be more fun to whiz around fast, don't you think? I feel as though you might have just invented a new sort of ride there, Runo. Okay. And then amazing horn-shaped devices pointing towards the Crystal Tower. Suppose once people are disassembled by the machine, they're shot out of that thing to wherever they're going. I don't think it was supposed to shoot anything, Runo. It was set up to beam people into the Crystal Tower. They'd be reconstructed in their original form. Well, I don't like the look of it. As amazing as it looks, the accident wouldn't have happened in the first place, of course. I suppose that's true, yes. But nothing ever goes according to plan, does it? Balloon! So those are people carrying balloons, dangling silently in the skies over the London. I always thought the day would come when humans would discover how to fly. But I never imagined it would involve them being suspended from colorful, floating Temari handballs. I'm sure it must feel amazing being up there among the clouds. Let's take a ride together, Runo, please. If I'm being perfectly honest, I would like to try it. But without a cast iron guarantee the thing won't fall into the ground, I'm too scared. I feel him in that one. Oh, in that case, I should tell you what Hurley said. It's physically impossible for a flying balloon to plummet to the ground, as long as it doesn't explode. Yes, call me crazy, but I think that exploding part might play on my mind a little. Okay, I think that's it. Ah! He's back! I don't think there's anything else down here to see, so I think we can go back. How do we leave? Wait. How do I leave? Okay, I'm gonna move for a second. Oh, well, he's not here now. I should check the lower areas down first. Alright, let's see. The Crystal Tower. It's certainly an apt name. It was built to be the focal point of the exhibition, and it definitely is, being so tall and with all that glass. I can't imagine a building like this ever being erected in Japan. There are lots of exhibits inside the tower as well, apparently. Of course, there's an observation deck, but there's also an art gallery, a zoo, and a museum. Where you have to queue for 3 hours just to get through the doors. Well, at the moment, the shattered glass from the failed experiment may as well be the biggest draw. And thanks to that incident, the whole tower is shut. Suddenly it's not the Crystal Tower anymore, but the Crystal Glass Shower. Apparently everyone's taking to the skies now to look down on the disaster area from above instead. There's a 3-hour queue to go up in a balloon now. Others must be very patient people. Oh, look, what's this? A piece of cloth. It's not like any fabric I've ever seen before. Very thick and stiff. It looks extremely durable. It's canvas, I think, with some sort of rubber backing. And the edges appear to be a bit charred as well. Maybe that means it had something to do with the explosion. Let's make a note of it while Ginny's mid-yawn. For some reason, the ground is damaged in this spot. Look. Almost as if there was a fire here or something. Yeah, if you look closely, there's some scattered ash and burnt embers, too. I suppose there was a big explosion to move here. People probably wouldn't bat an eyelid if a small fire like this would have been. I'm not sure we English are quite that laid back, Bruno. What's that? Ah, it looks like as though somebody dropped something behind the tree just here. Dropped or hid? What is this? Some part of the machine that exploded? Maybe. It could have fallen from the platform above in the blast, perhaps. What's going on here? Oh, nothing. I think I'll hang on to this, just in case. The mysterious contraption has been added to the court record. Oh, Ginny. I've been meaning to ask you for a while now, but what are those funny round blobs floating in the sky? Oh, they're the flying balloons I've been talking about. I want to go up in one so much. I've read about situations like this in a magazine about strange phenomena. Creatures from outer space coming in round flying objects to attack Earth. What? I suppose inhabitants of other planets are bound to be interested in the Great Exhibition. That's it, Icarus. It's happening! It's not. Don't worry. I'll explain it all to you later over a nice cup of tea, Bruno. Bro, he believes in aliens. I love it. I think we're good to leave. Well, maybe, but I have nowhere else to go. Looks like layers of thick canvas with a thick rubber lining of sorts. Never seen anything like it before. But applying Mr. Holmes' methods, you might deduce it was part of a raincoat worn by someone who really didn't want to get wet. And the charring must have cured the person was struck by lightning. Or maybe not. I love how Iris said nothing. Looks like a crossbow. Ah, there's some sort of lever here. It's a crossbow! What is this? Looks like a cross between a bow and a gun. I think it's probably used for the same thing, too. Crossbow. It's a folding crossbow. This groove here must be where the arrows are loaded, I suppose. So I was right. It's sort of a bow with an automatic firing mechanism. This would be perfect for someone like me who catches his ear with a bowstring 2 times out of 3. In fact, if I had one of these, maybe I could have beaten Kazuba in Kaido archery training. Looks like you wind this around in order to draw the bowstring back and create tension. You must be able to fire arrows with a huge amount of force using this device, then. In fact, I would imagine it's far more accurate and powerful than a Japanese longbow. Ugh, I really had no idea what I was picking up when I spotted this at the exhibition grounds. Okay. Can I leave? Should I present her anything? Oh, where'd it go? Looking for this, Otto? Why did you do that? What if you've got anything else to show me? What do y'all reckon? Give that back first, please. Should I present it? I don't want to, but... Okay, I don't... Is there anything else that maybe I've missed? Because I don't see anything else to interact with. Alright. Alright, let's go upstairs. I don't think it's a good idea to present these things, but I feel like I also don't have a choice. Okay, so nothing left. Okay. No one here. Okay, I'm gonna check one more thing. Maybe I forgot to present the paper to her. I don't remember. Oh, well, never mind. Okay, but she wants to be here longer, but I don't know what else to do. Okay, let's just start going back to the other areas then. Weirdly enough, nothing's making sense. Back to my room. What to do? I'm so excited about the prospect of Naruhodo's Anything Consultancy opening for business again. That's not what it's called. It's Naruhodo's Legal Consultancy. Done a lot of studying in these past 6 months. Reading law texts and judicial precedents. I'm sure I'm better a lawyer now. Can't wait to start practicing again. Nothing's changing here at all, though, has it? It's though time has stood still here since Susie went back to Japan. I wanted to keep it ready for Miss Sasato in case she was able to return to Britain at any point. So I've just left everything the way it was. Oh, I see. Right. And there was me thinking it's because of the way you are, Runo. You know, never bothering to tidy up, I mean. Iris, this isn't the time or the place to bring up my tidiness. Or lack of it. Okay, well that wasn't helpful. Anyone in the Sholmes suite? Nope, no one's here. I don't think anything's gonna be here. Nope. I'll pop in the prosecutor's office. Lord Van Zeeks. I think he's ignoring you, Runo. The prosecution and defense should avoid speaking outside the courtroom as a rule. So if anyone is being rude here, it's most certainly the man in black there standing before us. Oh, I see. Well, thank you for setting the record straight. Did you see that? He spoke to me, Runo. So, Lord Van Zeeks, have you managed to visit the Great Exhibition yet? He's definitely ignoring you. Right, no niceties either then. Okay. He said black Dracula. Okay, I'm missing something at the stage. I'm a little confused. Like, I'm a lot confused, actually. Is there anything I have... Oh, wait. Wait. This random dude? I checked the other one. That's where the Cove ended up after his instant kinesis, or whatever they call it. Dead, of course. Oh, that was Jenna. Whoops. And they're calling it the experiment a success? What's the one scaffold there for? Coppers, lads, set up dead after the incident happened. Get the body down, I think. Don't know, really. Didn't you help erect the scaffold then? Nah, lookout duty's more my thing. Wandering around the exhibition, keeping a lookout for the fun stuff. Mind Gregson doesn't hear you saying that, or he'll give you the boot. It's incredible, though, isn't it? I mean, could the victim really have bridged that gap by some sort of invisible kinesis? God, that's all I needed to do. I'm an idiot. Bruno, listen. What? What is it? I've been thinking. Hurley might know something. Mightn't he? About what? About Mr. Reaper. About what happened to Lord Van Zieks, you mean? Because it sounds like something very significant occurred after he graduated from university. Something that completely changed his life. Maybe, but I have no idea where to find Mr. Sholmes at the moment. He's in the middle of some big case, isn't he? Here, this is what you need. What's this? Some kind of entrance ticket? Madame Tuspels? Is this supposed to mean something to me? You don't know it? It's the most popular attraction in London at the moment. It's very close to Baker Street, actually. We could go now if you like. No, we don't have time for visiting attractions today, Iris. We have a big trial tomorrow. But that's where Hurley is. What? At this popular London attraction? Yes. How is it that you know where he is? Hurley told me, but he told me to keep it a secret from you, Bruno. Madame Tuspels. I don't see how it could be related to the case we're investigating here. But then, stranger things have happened, and when they happen, Mr. Sholmes is usually at the heart of them. Is it Mariah Nepos? There we go. I know what he's up to, wouldn't you? Madame Tuspel's Museum of Waxworks. Oh! Dang, girls! What is this place? Look at all these terrifying scenes. Why are all the people so still? Guillotines, ruthless murderers. I know what I'll be dreaming about tonight. They're all wax models. They're amazingly realistic, aren't they? What do you think, Bruno? Shocked? Wax models? Ah! I read about the dead bodies in wax once in a magazine about strange phenomena. Depending on how corpses are kept after death, parts of them can turn into wax, apparently. It's called I don't even know that word, bruh. Stop talking about creepy things like that, Bruno. You're scaring me. Anyway, this doesn't form readily, you know? It's only very specific. Ah! What now? I've just remembered something else I read. In another magazine about strange phenomena. There was an old lady, maybe a witch, who used to pour molten wax over corpses and put them on display. None of the exhibits here are real. They're all entirely man-made replicas. They can't be. Do you really expect me to believe that? Just look at them. Oh. Oh, what? There's no way anybody can make models of people that are this realistic. And they're all such gruesome scenes. I see a very gruesome figure myself. Wait. What is it? Oh, no. I must be seeing things. I'll get to him in a minute. What's this? Is this some infamous murderer? Yes, called Jane the Ripper. All her victims were young women. I heard about that when I was in Japan. I knew it. You could tell by the way she's holding the knife. She's kind of a murderer. Well, yes. Ah! What's the matter, Bruno? I've worked it out. I know what she's doing. She's trying to fill that bathtub with blood so she can soak her in her victim's gore. Not according to the information about the exhibit on the little board here. It doesn't mention anything about the bathtub. Really? Sorry, I don't think it's significant. Is it a Metal Gear Rising reference? I still think it has to be there for a reason. Jane the Ripper. Models are so well made, I can't tell what's a waxwork and what's a real human. Or maybe all the exhibits are real people, and when it's closing time and all the visitors have gone home, they suddenly start moving about. Ugh, just thinking about that makes me wish it was closing time already and I was on my way home. That big heavy curtain is a very prominent position, isn't it? I have a nasty feeling that there's going to be something truly terrifying behind it. Oh yes! That's the famous Trust Spells special exhibit. It depicts one of England's most notorious killers. Do you want to pay the extra fee and have a look? Pay more money to be even more terrified? Oh, let me think about that one for a moment. It was only a suggestion. It depends on when you left. Is this an arm? It looks like an arm, doesn't it? Maybe one of the waxwork models has fallen over. You don't think it could be the work of one of the mass murderers in here, do you? Runehouse, stop scaring me! Is it a wax arm or a real one? Come on, you're always pointing that finger of yours in court. Poke that arm now and see if it feels. Objection! Is this an example of Western Tutsugiri? What? I don't know what that is. Neither do I! You know, when an unscrupulous samurai randomly attacks a passerby to test his sword. I still don't know. No. But actually, a waxwork samurai would probably be hugely popular. Sojijiri. Can't you model it, do you think, Bruno? Doing that Sojijiri thing you mentioned? Well, I do have a sword, but I have no intention of testing how sharp it is on a human subject. For now, at least. No, we're not. Wait, what? Oh, people were... But what's it about? I want to know what the exhibit's about. It's... Oh, the great detective, Mr. Sherlock Sholmes! Sholmes has his own wax statue in here? Really? Well, he is world famous after all. It's an uncanny resemblance, isn't it? It makes my skin crawl to look at it. I know! But look, Reno, you can kick this Hurley, and he doesn't even move a muscle. You can't go around kicking the exhibits, Iris! Wait! the slow movement he had after being kicked gets me. Wait. It just moved, I'm sure. And not just a little bit either. Huh? Really? Did it? And look closely. There are beads of sweat on the face of this waxwork model. Dude, he's trying so hard. Shall we move on, Iris? Over there. Look, there's a great murder scene to enjoy. Much more appealing. Wait. My dear fellow, I take exception to your recoiling in such a manner, as if you've seen something truly abhorrent. Mr. Sholmes! I knew it. Iris, what possessed you? I strictly forbade you from divulging my temporary waxwork secret to Mr. Naruhito. Temporary waxwork? What do you mean? In that kick! Could you not have exercised a little more restraint? You winded me! But Bruno has something he needs to ask you. Ah, a question! And I thought you'd probably be getting bored, too. So here we are. Well, I can't deny that your timing was impeccable. A mere 2 minutes before being stationary like that, my great brain, upon which all my success has been built, would have turned to wax! Thank goodness we arrived in time. Indeed! In many ways, the pair of you just saved the world from an unimaginable loss. Oh, Hurley, you do like to talk nonsense, don't you? She could have? Or was it the gut? How'd she kick him in the gut from her height difference? He could know something, that's true. About Lord Van Zeeks, and what happened in the past to change him. Now that you're here, let's take our time. How can I be of assistance? Excuse me. For your luck, I am suddenly quite taken with the idea of conversing. Oh, well, actually, I'm in quite a hurry. And if my eyes don't deceive me, I believe something is afoot within the walls of this very museum. A most fascinating case, if I'm not mistaken. Really. Moreover, I have strong suspicion that it is related to the matter of which you've come to see me now. But how could it be? We shall speak again presently, my dear fellow. But for now, I must return to my work. Wait, what? What? Back to being a temporary waxwork exhibit? Okay, let's talk. My lord. It's the world's sickest upkick. It should have been. What is this place? Oh, okay. Madame Tuspels came to London from France 3 years ago, I understand. Since she opened up this little waxwork museum last year, it's enjoyed great popularity in London. There are museums like this in Japan, too. Sorry, Frank Trainer. There are museums like this in Japan, too, but these displays are something else. I mean, they aren't made from actual real people, are they? The extreme realism of these waxwork models is a spectacular secret of the Tuspels family, they say. They earned their renown during the French Revolution for waxworks of victims of the guillotine. Ugh, that sounds grim. The gruesome scenes were portrayed with such realism in the expressions of the faces of the condemned. Apparently, the sculptors would make the models directly from the corpses right there at the site of the executions. That really turns my stomach. That's just one of several legends about the Tuspels family. Whether there's any truth in it, I couldn't say. But anyway, this museum houses models of famous people from all over the globe. Nevertheless, the most popular area of the museum by quite some margin is this House of Horrors. The House of Horrors? He's such a baby. Of course, visitor numbers are dwindling now as a result of the Great Exhibition. People usually flock here to see the exhibits of some of London's most vile criminals and their gruesome work. Naturally, most of the miscreants portrayed here were sent to the gallows. So they're even stiffer now than the models of them. Have you heard of poor taste? My dear fellow, the public live for poor taste. They yearn to be shocked. So, the hideous exhibits here are... They're all portrayals of real events that actually took place. Is it just me? Or did the temperature in here just seem to drop? Anyway, I advise you not to think too deeply about what you see here. Why? Oh, he's back to being a waxwork, is he? Reminds me of Ramirez's little wax villain from his little story. Forget the name, but I know the person. Temporary waxwork. Well, what do you mean by a temporary waxwork, Mr. Sholmes? Exactly what you see. I am part of the exhibits here, catching these criminals in the act. Catching them? Every half an hour, I home in on a different killer in one of the displays and adopt a new pose to ensnare him. When members of the public come for a closer look, I offer them my hand to shake. For a shilling, I'll happily allow them to take a photograph with us. Us? Does he mean him and the waxwork murderers in here? But why, Mr. Sholmes? My dear fellow, isn't it obvious? For the money! What? He really roared at me there. Very fitting for the House of Horrors. It's as it stands, I may struggle to pay this month's rent. And I have the ravenous iris to consider. Oh, Hurley, I'm so hungry. If push comes to shove, I shall have to ask you to do your bit, Mr. Naruhado. Well, does he threaten to rope me into now? So, with that in mind, how about a photograph? As a special treat, you have your pick of the murderers and the scoundrels in here. The choice is yours. Maybe some other time. Huh, remember, Mr. Naruhado, ignore me at your peril. Ah, yes, Ed Wax. Back to being a waxwork again. Is it just me, or did his final remark there sound like a lot like a curse? Anyway. Well, what is it you'd like to ask me then? Actually, it's about Lord Van Zeeks. Ah, our friend Mr. Ripper. How did you find him? Well, I trust. And so I filled Mr. Sholmes in on everything I'd learned about Lord Van Zeeks, about Professor Harebrain, and about the strange coincidence that they had been at university together. So I'm wondering what it was that happened to make Lord Van Zeeks strike such a different person. I was sure that you'd know, Hurley. You said there was something going on here in this exhibit hall before, that something was afoot, and that you believed it was related to what I wanted to ask you about. Mr. Sholmes, he suddenly clammed up. Well, it seems we've reached the unavoidable... Greetings. Who? Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Where did she appear from? Is she a witch? What is she wearing? Could she look any more mysterious? I do kind of like this vibe she's got going on. Oh. I hope you are appreciating my museum. Sorry, have we? Mr. Sholmes, do you know this? Not again! My apologies. I am Esmeralda Tuspels. This is my museum of waxwork. Pretty. That's what my thought is. What, you're the Madame Tuspels? Man, sir, I don't know how you're supposed to say that. It's pure French. Though only 26 years young, I might add. Is that significant somehow? Yes, it means she's young and single. I'm a Madame in name only. It adds a certain... Je sais quoi? I hope that's right. It's French, you're supposed to say it wrong. Thank you. Right. Firstly, I must apologize for my waxworks. Or rather, one waxwork in particular. That'll be Mr. Sholmes, then. I was led to believe he was a great detective, but he seems able to settle. Whoa. Whoa! Next time you move in your designated exhibit, there will be toil and trouble. Dude, she has the longest braid in the world! I saw that. That went down to her kneecaps. Dude, she's gonna freaking boil him! She sounds deadly serious. Man, we're never gonna get this information, are we? French add unnecessary letters. That's a problem. How am I supposed to ask Mr. Sholmes about Lord Van Zeeks now? Well, let's not forget what Hurley said before. About something being afoot. Right here in the museum, I mean. Yes, I know, but... I'm so curious. I wonder what's happening here. Haven't we got enough on our plate already? I will not ignore the witch. Okay. Did you make all these waxworks, Madame Tuspels? I did. I am the third generation of waxwork artisans, you know. I can't speak French. I can do certain things. I could try. God, I don't know how to do a French accent. Taking designs notes. See, it was... no, I'm going to freaking go back into German again, you know? I'm just going to keep it the way it is. It was my grandmother who began the tradition in my family. Her fortunes were queer, living through the turbulent times of the French Revolution she did. So that is when she acquired the savoir-faire that leads to the astonishing life-likeness. It looked like it. Make her it easy. All these waxworks really do look as though they're alive. In fact, they look more alive than Hurley. What you see exhibited here represents the most atrocious of London's criminal past. All of the artworks were created in the presence of the real people on which they were modelled, in the hours immediately following their executions. That is the secret to the extraordinary lifelikeliness. That sounds terrifying. All walks of life have similar challenges, I am sure. To carry out one's trade par excellence, one must go to the extraordinary lengths. My exhibits are a reflection of society. I create only that which the public wishes to see. Ugh, why couldn't the public have wished for something less horrifying? Back to her, no back to you, no back to her. You find she is not you. Do not fear. Sorry? This room is the only one in the museum with such a macabre theme. I do hope you will explore. There are models of famous singers, actors, politicians, something for every taste. I hope. God, I can't stop looking at her. She's way too pretty. I don't think I've ever seen such a pretty witch in my life. It was Iris who dragged me straight in here, come to think of it. I'm sorry, perhaps I should have eased you into things. What's the situation with that? My temporary textbook model. He approached me some days ago, you see, with a business proposal. Oh, what sort of proposal? My dear madam, what these vast exhibits need is the addition of a world-famous great detective. Oh, words to that effect. Ah, naturally, I am well aware that Mr. Sholmes is widely known in London as a talented detective. It's great detective, actually. He's very specific about it. Yes, the cream de la cream. So I was keen to come to the arrangement with him, of course. But sadly, we are unable to agree terms. Let me guess, someone wanted to charge an exorbitant price for his services? For a mere £500? I will dive into your cauldron of wax this very moment! Oh, words to that effect. Mr. Sholmes might have overdone it slightly with the sales pitch. Looking with maximum respect. Long braided pink hair. I'll see the difference. It's true. It's kind of pink. It's kind of got like that Haru pinkish to it. Regrettably, the museum has a shortage of funds at the moment due to the unforeseen circumstances. You can kind of see the braid. So we came to the current arrangement instead. He surely doesn't need to do what he's doing, though, does he? I would think not, but he was very insistent. Adult Haru. I have a 50-shilling problem that must be resolved by the morning. Oh, what's that effect? I knew she was going to say that. That's the pawnbroker. That's what it is. He must have something for to redeem. Is the consulting detective work not going so well? I wonder, can I ask you something? Vince here? I hope that was something for it. I'm just curious at the moment. Is anything going on in the museum at the moment? It's kind of some kind of incident, perhaps? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Whoever suggested such a thing to you? Oh, well, it was your temporary wax brother who mentioned it to me a little... Oh, he's disappeared. Wax model is a work of art, not some tawdry... A wax model is a work of art, not some tawdry object for trade. Or is that him? Oh, it's him. I couldn't... So there you are! So there you are. I get people who say... Leaving the exhibit again when you should be working? Do you wish to be melted down? I'm really confused. My dear Madam Tuspel, save your reprimands. There are more pressing concerns. The wax can wait. There are ideas about your current problem. We must throw them into the melting pot instead. Personally, I would advise you not to involve the police. Why ever not? She's turned as white as a sheet. because you have at your disposal a great detective, whose services you may employ for a mere 50 shillings. Though please be aware that I prefer... No. I insist upon payment in advance. Very well. Let us see if the great detective is able to live up to his name, shall we? She's so pretty. This man... Before I engage in my analytical process, I must ask you to clarify something. What, pray, is behind the curtain? That is the Tuspel's special exhibit. There's an extra charge to see it. Dude, she is so much shorter than Sholmes. Dude, short women are great. Or is it just that freaking Mr. Sholmes is literally like a tree? I'm never really sure. Mr. Naruhito doesn't count. Not only is he a young man, but he's also Japanese. Most of them are short. Okay, I did it. Case closed. Me 50 bucks, please. Sholmes is a tree. Okay, that sounds understandable. Ah, the special exhibit in the House of Horrors. It must have picked a serial killer then, I presume. Yo, she really looks like Haru from the side angle, man. She got that jawline and everything. Would you be so kind as to draw back the curtain, Wanda? Ah, absolute none. There's nothing amiss behind there. Nothing amiss, madam. What about the arm protruding ominously from under the curtain? Ha! I strongly encourage you to allow me to see what lies beyond, before the situation worsens. Yes, very well. I shall draw back the curtains, but only a suppon. I have no idea what word she said there. I'm guessing it's a small amount, but still. Oh god, are we gonna deal with the body? Number 139. Must confess, I peeked behind the curtain earlier. The Tuspel special exhibit is a very bleak graveyard scene indeed. And yet, somewhat surprisingly, the waxwork killer one would expect is nowhere to be seen. What does strike one, however, is the portly gentleman lying peacefully on his back on the floor. Oh no. It's too bad she's French. What's that supposed to mean? I'm shipping the witch and Herlock. This witch has this French witch has freaking won everyone over here. Well, then perhaps Mr. Sholmes, that man on the floor, is the ruthless killer himself. I'm afraid not, my dear fellow. He's a perfectly ordinary London gentleman, not even a waxwork, in fact. What? As skillfully made as waxworks are, they are always distinguishable from real humans. So, allow me to present my two conclusions. The first is that the sizable business transaction has been taking place in this special exhibit. Why would you say that? And the second is that the aforementioned transaction is linked to a serious crime. Yeah, I just want to say... All our friends. Is that right? He didn't finish it? Okay, so I'm going to call it here and now. The Ace Attorney series is always really good at making the pretty people, men or female, the villains. So, I'm going to be honest, I will not be surprised if this lady has done something bad or a crime or even is the real culprit. I wouldn't be surprised. I would be more surprised, however, if she was completely innocent and this is just a side bit that just fleshes out the case for some reason. But I would be, again, more surprised if she's completely innocent and this is just for fluff, which is fine, but, you know, anyway. Huh? She looks as pale as candle wax. I don't understand. So, Madame Tuspels, as you've agreed to my fee, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. Here we go, the great deduction. The game is afoot. Waxworks Fate. He's gonna be To begin with, we must ask ourselves what exactly is afoot here at this museum. I kind of want to just see the whole model. I want to see how her design is finished, really. Maybe we'll get to see it in this. Her bag. The answer is revealed by the bundle of banknotes protruding so helplessly from your bag. In my estimation, some 200 pounds. That is all my own money. So what does this large sum of money reveal? Ah, not as much as the involuntary glance you cast, it would seem, Miss Madame Tuspels. Yes, the answer lies where your eyes now fall. What? The significance of the 200 pounds is revealed by the public notice. Has Iris ever actually watched Hurley do one of these and fail? I don't remember. Waxwork for sale? Your business has hit hard times, it would seem. In short, you sold the infamous killer the centerpiece of your special exhibit for the sum of 200 pounds. Dude, her eyes are way more intense up close. No! Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. You can kind of see her hair there in the corner. It's just right below her bag in length. That's a lot of hair. They're always hotter when they're evil. Okay, well, there's a good angle. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? It would appear that the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you. Ah. Unfortunately, madam, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the 200 pounds. What? She's smiling again. It would appear that you twisted the gentleman around with your little finger most effectively. What are you suggesting? Dang, that's a good... Wait, whose hand is that? Does anyone else see that hand coming out of her backside? That is not her hand! They're always hotter and they're evil. You need to be stopped. Oh, hold on. I just realized Aqua is in the way of what I'm talking about. Sorry. Aqua in the way. So there's how long her hair seems to go, about to the bottom of her back. And then there's a hand. Rim killed Aqua. Okay, we'll bring her back. That was enough. He rashly agreed to purchase the waxwork for the sum of 200 pounds. Only when he came to hand the money over did it occur to him what an exorbitant amount he was paying. But the money was no longer in his hands. And the result? The scene we see before us. He collapsed in shock. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit fetched a killer price. We can only pray that the gentleman's dreams are not played with regret. Okay. Sold for cash. Is he a thief, maybe? Location. The question that arises then is what has become of the waxwork that has changed hands? Let us consider the problem for a moment. You cannot possibly... What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man standing over there. What? Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only to observe his neckerchief. She's doing commissions. Bro, I'm dead. Such as it is worn by policemen as a secret sign to fellow members of the force that a crime is being perpetrated. Yes, this young man is an undercover policeman currently investigating this museum. I know him well, in fact. It's Sergeant John Clay. What are you talking about? The man's quite a celebrity. He received triple accolades in last year's policing awards. But... next, we turn our attention to the old man sat before him with a particularly unsightly visage. I've been watching closely, and he hasn't moved a muscle, almost, in fact, as if he were a waxwork. Ah, but you... Your reaction only confirms my suspicions, madam. There's a tag on him. I noticed it at once, of course. Observe! The tire tells Hannah that it proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is the obvious price tag. 3 umpence? A tragically low place, you might say. Though perhaps the going rate for aging waxworks riddled with cracks. And yet you sold it to the portly gentleman for an exorbitant £200. The sort of plucky behaviour that's sure to attract the attention of Scotland Yard. Isn't that so, madam? I do not... What is happening? Yes, the waxwork you sold has already been seized by the police and remains under their custody as we speak. The old man must have reunited with his grave in the special exhibit, and not a moment too soon. Bro, what? Okay, see, I don't even know why we're doing this. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. So I'm wondering maybe if the waxworks have something to do with the murder, maybe. I don't know. We'll find out. But that's the only thing I can think of that this has relation to. Iris is like, wow, how could he be so off base? She's got the pot! I see I've stunned you all into silence. You have, Shirley. You have. And you've obviously upset this young lady in the process. Her cauldron looks awfully hot. If I could just bring up 1 point, Mr. Sholmes. Ah! The notorious Naruhodo, 1 point! I'm all ears, my dear fellow. According to your deduction, then, the special exhibit featured this old policeman. So, that would mean that he's a particularly ruthless murderer, wouldn't it? The killer policeman. Ottermole. Sorry? It was a mysterious series of murders that rattled the capital only last year. The police rushed to the scene every time only to find the culprit had disappeared into the aether. And it turned out the culprit was a policeman himself, a senior officer by the name of Ottermole. So you mean that's who the sinister-looking old man is they're supposed to be? Indeed, it is a particularly grim face, is it not? Unforgivable. In fact, yes, I remember that odious countenance only too well. But is £200 a lot of money for a wax model? It would be enough to afford one of the latest steam carriages, if that puts things in perspective. So, it is quite a lot, then. What or how are they mad? Not true. Not necessarily. It depends on what you're into, I guess. Yeah, it's his. Is there anything else you wish to add? Before I melt you down. The bubbling wax is looking more and more ominous. The smell of all that molten wax is starting to worry me. Mr. Sholmes did more or less just accuse her to her face, so I think I might have to call you on your assistance here, Iris, if that's alright. To make some minor corrections to the great detective's great deductions. Of course it's alright. We'll soon set things straight. I love Sherlock Sholmes' philosophy of, like, you miss all the shots you don't take. If I keep shooting around you, I will eventually hit you. Type of behavior. He just keeps throwing out baseless accusations until one of them sticks. Well, let's get started then, shall we? Before Madame Tussbells vents her anger. Just what I was waiting to hear, my dear fellow. That too, I saw. So, Madame Tussbells, in accordance with our agreement, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. What the heck was that noise? Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Okay, we're back to this. I'm gonna skip all the dialogue that I've already read. He's posing again. He transitioned poses rather nicely. Bro, Capcom over here really went super hard with the designs in this game. They're like, yo, bro, we just gotta pop off. Like, so many characters are designed so well and so memorable for having such a small cast, compared to, say, the original Ace Attorney games, where, while they had a massive cast and had characters return, most of the designs aren't really as over the top. You might be hearing a guitar. My brother-in-law bought himself a new speaker for his electric guitar, so maybe that's what he's doing. He's practicing. Well, it's not this. She posted her commissions. Her commissions are open for wax statues. Yo, we can get a wax aqua now. It's all coming together. She definitely looked in this direction, it's true. But I'm not sure she'd sell any of her waxworks even for 200 pounds. Oh? She must pour her heart and soul into making them, don't you think? Over and above the wax. If it were me, I wouldn't sell them for anything. For that much money, I would. But it all sounds like that makes me a bad person. Well, anyway, I wonder if the 200 pounds could have some other significance. Let's follow that figurative glance again and see if there's anything else that could explain it. Well, I feel like it's the man. I didn't mean to inspect. Seems this well-dressed gentleman is alive after all. Just not alive and kicking. He's not waxwork or model of a mass murderer. I'm not sure I'd pay 200 pounds for him. I don't think the man's up for sale. Well, anyway, it was a silly place to put him. Other museum bidders could easily trip. I don't think the man was there on purpose either. What? Oh, okay. The gentleman on the floor must know the significance of the 200 pounds. That's not what I was insinuating. We'll have our answer, with no need to deduce anything. Shrieking of that nature will hasten the end of the world, Mr. Naruto. The end of the world? And there is a distinct possibility that the man has no knowledge of the money anyway. So, do you cause the destruction of our planet, or continue with the deduction process? The choice is yours. Looks like I'd better get back to saving the world, then. Okay, well. Judging by appearances, this man and the 200 pounds are in no way related at all. The poor man was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, it seems. But there's no doubt that Madame Trustpills did react to what Mr. Sholmes said. We automatically looked over this way must tell us something, I'm sure. Let's move and take a more look around. What's not the public notice? Okay, so... Oh, I can move the camera. Or the... Oh! I didn't even see... Okay, now I didn't know I can move the location of things. What's that note doing pinned on the wall there? Oh, yes, let's see. Dear Madame Tuspels, we've taken the prisoner from this room. The price for his safe return is 200 pounds. Have the money ready by noon on the 23rd of October. What? This is... This sort of thing left behind when someone's kidnapped. Yes, it's a ransom note. Exactly. Come on, button. I didn't realize they could move it around that way. Spin. The significance of the 200 pounds is revealed by that ransom note. Quite so, and we must congratulate these criminals on their inventiveness in abducting a waxwork. Ah! 200 pounds is no small ransom fee, yet you clearly intend to pay it. The model in question has special importance, so I put together all the money I have. In summary, then, the 200 pounds you have in your handbag is ransom money. Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who was the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? It would appear that the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you. Oh yeah, I'm reading it again! It's trapped me! Okay. Oh my god, that's so... even with... So if the waxwork was kidnapped, where does that leave us in terms of who this man is? We could just ask him when he comes around. I think the point of this exercise is to understand the beauty of the deduction process, Iris. Yes, you're right. Hurley's trying so hard, we mustn't let him down. Well, there's little doubt that he suffered a shock. That must seem to be clear. But in that case, what's Madame Trustpills trying to hide? Let's have a closer look around. Do I have to check her out? Oh, there's the long braid. Now we can really see it. Where's the hand? There it is. Hand of Madame. Oh, she's This is just Madame Trespel's right hand, isn't it? Yes, it must be. I can clearly see her left hand, after all. Oh, but wait a minute. This is a left hand as well, look. Yeah. Don't say such creepy things, Iris, please. And it seems very stiff, too. In fact, it's really hard. You mean... it's made of wax? Wait a second. Oh my god. For a second I thought she was wearing a ring. That's just the collar of the shirt.
Take that!
What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the waxwork hand. Indeed! With a solid waxwork limb, one could deliver a very substantial blow. How could you... The hand protruding from the bottom of your cape. It ought to be a right hand, but by closer inspection reveals it is the fact it's a left hand. And somewhat masculine as well. In other words, it does not belong to you, madam. It is the hand of a waxwork model. Kia! Oh man. Some of the visitors to my museum can be troublesome. They meddle with the exhibits and cause damage. So you mean that arm? Yes, this gentleman saw fit to try to remove it as a souvenir. No small keepsake! Like taking a whole bunch of taking a branch of a cherry tree when you go to view the blossoms. Bro, she got giant boots on! She chopped. I don't think it's weird, Isolate. I mean, it's still very enjoyable. But I do like what they could do with the models as opposed to just the sprite works. But the sprite work, I'm always partial to sprite work. I'm afraid I had to teach a lesson, teach the man a lesson. I'm sorry, no, that was her saying it. I'm afraid to teach the man a lesson. You confronted the man and tried to take the arm back. And the result is we see before us. He was knocked unconscious. A point we may need to revisit later, but for the time being we have our conclusion. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit has been kidnapped. The question that arises then... Oh wait, I'm skipping this. My mouth is tired. According to Mr. Sholmes, the yellow neckerchief is a sign to other policemen that some crime is underway. A way of communicating with his colleagues without revealing his identity. Yes, it's a secret that's closely guarded by Scotland Yard. That Mr. Sholmes didn't hesitate to give away. Well, uncovering secrets is any true detective's nature, of course. Right. Anyway, judging from Madame Tuspel's reaction to Mr. Sholmes' deduction, I think perhaps we might not have identified the man quite correctly. He's not real. Who is this fellow? To find the answer we need only to observe his shoulder stub. No such boneless human walks this earth, of that I can assure you. In other words, the man standing here, the young Sergeant John Clay, is in fact, defying all odds, a waxwork model. I seem to remember it was you who concluded he was a real person in the first place, Mr. Sholmes. He has become quite a celebrity in London, being the winner of no less than 3 policing awards last year. So we had to make a model of the man. Naturally! What other explanation could there be? And it was this detective's arm that was pulled off by the man on the floor in the special exhibit, wasn't it? Next, we turn all attention to the old man who sat before him in particularly unsightly visage. Okay. Okay. killer policeman called Ottermole. Was he well known? It was all over the papers last year, but I can't say I know what he looks like. It's very low price, though. 3 umpcents isn't much money. Only enough for a few measly hours of gas at Mr. Jared's delightful lodgings, in fact. So this special killer was taken from a special exhibit. This is it? The waxwork that somebody stole from the museum and tried to ransom for £200. Is this crusty old policeman Motterball? Really? Perhaps we should have a good look around again see if another idea props up. Look at this. The old man's tapping his foot like crazy. Seems to be fast asleep, though. I do that, too. He's not tapping his foot consciously, then? So you mean it must be a twitch. Never mind that. The point is the waxworks don't tap their feet. Or twitch. Look at his arm, too. We've seen a scarf like that somewhere else around here, haven't we? I have, but probably not in this game. The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man was a waxwork is the obvious twitch. Even the most realistic waxworks do not exhibit a twitch. In other words, this splendid old man is in fact a genuine member of Scotland Yard. Slight shift in your choice of adjectives, then. And there you have it. Well, Madam Truspels. Well, that. It was me who contacted the police and demanded that someone come in the first place. He is clearly fatigued. He is sound asleep. But then, what's this tag about showing a price of 3 pence? No doubt the price tag of the muffler, which the old Bobby purchased recently at a local market. And I presume you've observed the star from around his arm? Does that not strike you, Mr. Naruhado? Yes, the secret sign used by detectives to show that some criminal activity is currently underway. Of course, but because, as you know, there has been just such criminal activity happening here. As you deduced from the very beginning, Detective. So it would seem that I finally arrived at the truth. What truth is that? That your work's been kidnapped? We knew this. The waxwork of the especially ruthless killer from the special exhibit has been kidnapped. And Scotland Yard are already investigating. But the model and whereabouts remain a mystery. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. Yeah, the second one means we don't know jack about it. Okay. Elementary. All sorts of people visit my museum here, men and women, young and old. Sometimes they drop in just for a short time on their way back from the pub. I welcome them all. But if anyone tries to damage my exhibits, I do not take it lightly. Anyway. Your great deduction was even more enchanting than I had been led to believe. Yo, what a pretty smile. I'm swooning. I can't deal with this right now. Dude, they're just... It was a pleasure, my dear madam. I'm gratified that you enjoy the spectacle. And as for your rough customer, I have no doubt he'll regain consciousness shortly and return home. What concerns me more is the waxwork from the special display. If it was indeed genuinely abducted. Yes, tragically, it was. Unless it's a Ponzi. Then I would ask you to recount to us the events surrounding the stolen waxwork, in as much detail as possible, if you please. Very well. But after I have told you what you might have insisted, you return to your work. The talents of a great detective could be put to better use, I feel, but as you wish. Goodness, what a long thing. Stolen waxwork. Tell us more about the stolen waxwork, please. It was some days ago now, when I came in here one morning. I immediately noticed that the waxwork was missing from the special exhibit there. it is your most prominent display, so that's why the curtains were closed. And I found the ransom note in its place. The culprit must have broken in during the night and taken it then. So this waxwork that was stolen, it was a model of some horrible criminal, I suppose? Of a particularly horrible criminal. In fact, who? The killer who left a more profound scar on society than any other, I would say. The Professor. Not a name I've heard of. So, Mr. Naruhado, it seems the circle is complete. Sorry? The Professor case happened around the time I was born, didn't it? Indeed it did, Iris. 10 years ago, a series of murders had rocked the capital. 10 years ago? Yes, at exactly that time, that Barak von Zieks graduated from university, in fact. What? Surely he's not saying. So the big event that changed Mr. Reaper's life... Oh, right, the thing we came here for. As you've surmised, it was the Professor case. Who was the Professor, then? It was a series of gruesome murders that had all of the London gripped in terror a decade ago. After 5 victims were killed, the man was arrested and put to death. And now he's immortalized here in wax for all Londoners to admire and enjoy. Though, of course, he happens to be absent at present on account of the abduction. But I don't understand. How is all this related to Lord Van Zieks? You must first understand, my dear fellow, why it is that the professors earned such infamy. It was due to the victims he chose, some of Whitehall's finest. What do you mean, Hurley? Those murdered by the professor were some of the biggest members of the British aristocracy. Aristocracy. I don't know how you're supposed to say that technically. Members of the nobility, even royalty, sent shockwaves through the country's administration. Members of the... Wait, of course! What Professor Harebrained said. Lord Van Zieks is from a family with noble blood. Oh, gosh! It was the 5th victim that led to the professor's arrest. The last of the killer's prey was a young noble by the name of... Clint Van Zieks. No! I don't believe it! Van Zieks?! I'm sure you can piece together the rest for yourself. In the wake of his older brother's murder, the young Barak pursued a career as a prosecutor, and eventually became the Reaper we know today. Snow Ice, like... I had no idea Lord Van Zieks had such a tragic past. Well, explains it, doesn't it? Well, I'm afraid that's all I can say on the matter, for the time being at least. After all, I have work to do. As a waxwork exhibit. I am afraid I shall have to excuse myself as well. Oh yes, of course. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. That's when he became racist! Dude, what a... Well, none of the predicted scenarios I've been analyzing involved you coming to visit me here. Wait, who's... Oh, wait, hold on. It's been too long, it really has. I'm delighted to see you, Barak. It's been 10 years, and here we are, meeting in the prison of all places. I can't forgive us of what happened to Mr. Arisman, I just can't. I still can't believe it could happen. Tomorrow the court will decide. Yes, I have a young Eastern man acting for my defense. He seems reliable enough, though. It was an accident. A terrible accident. He assures me he can prove it. I must warn you. Oh, I know. I've heard already. You're going to be prosecuting, aren't you? Yes. Since I returned to England, I've heard lots of stories. Barak, are you really... What? Never mind. I know that you have my best interest at heart. My friend is on trial. I wouldn't entrust it to anybody else. Of course, I fully understand. Thank you, Beric. Until tomorrow, then. I'll see you in court. Oh my god. I'm parched. I may have to go get a drink here in a minute. I feel like I don't know nearly enough about the actual case at hand. Alright, I'm going to run a quick ad while I go get a drink, and then I'll continue till the first checkpoint in the trial, because there is no way I'm going to be able to do the whole trial in one sitting. He couldn't possibly be edgier. Alright, so we'll be back in, like, I don't know, 3 minutes or something. I'll run ads, and I'll be back in just a moment. We'll resume when they're done, so give me just a moment. No, it's Octopath. What good timing on that. Okay. We'll be back. I'll be playing it again in just a second. I wanted to show this off because I mentioned it earlier. This was a Christmas present from Ratchet, of all people. This was his Christmas present. It's for the setup. It's like a resin stand of my Twitch ad, which I thought was pretty cool, with the little Twitch bot and everything. Ratchet is also one that purchased for me Lethal Company, so perhaps in the near future I'll be able to play that on stream. I'm going to stop that now, I think. So let's see. I had just assumed the ads were over. I didn't even actually check. Took a little bit longer because there was getting the last of the salad from dinner. It was still a little peckish. All the talking just makes me hungry. No. That's one where you collect scrap for a company. If you don't collect enough, you die. So we're only going to the first checkpoint of the trial. Saying that right now. Because we're already about 3 hours in. I think we learn more about the history of Van Zieks than anything about the actual case. Can't believe it's 6 months since I was last allowed to work in court. And now here I am, back at the Old Bailey. Ah, Mr. Naruhado. Good morning, Professor Hairbrain. Hi, I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. The atmospheric pressure in here is off the charts. I've never felt anything like it. It's crushing me. I didn't describe it very well. Isley could probably describe it better. I feel it every time I'm here, that gravity. Well, this is Britain's highest court. But you are telling me it's fitted with some kind of device that can actually control air pressure? I think it's probably all in the mind. Ah, yes, well, you won't let me down, will you, Mr. Naruhado? I'm counting on you in today's trial. To save my life. To save the secret of my super high voltage and to save the machine from being made public. Yes, I understand. I know what I have to do. I've established that the explosion 2 years ago was nothing more than an unfortunate accident. Have a good night, Sora. Well, I'm sure there's nothing to worry about, really. Justice will prevail. I'm gonna assume this is Sholmes. My commiserations, Mr. I don't know how you appear to have been labeled with the most tiresome case here. My boy. Okay, Isley. Mr. Sholmes, I didn't expect to see you here. That was a very mean, Ritter. Leave me alone at home with Hurley. It took me at least an hour to wake him. Huh? Is it? Are you here, Sherlock Sholmes? Indeed, sir, I am he. Sherlock Sholmes. Oh, I have heard all about your exploits, even whilst living in Germany. Ah, yes. Randus magazine is on sale in Germany, too. This installment was sublime. Your deduction in The Adventures of Silver Blaze was wonderful. Ah, yes, a memorable case indeed. It concerned the snake, I seem to recall. No, that was the Speckled Band. Well, thank you for coming. I appreciate your support. I'm sorry to disappoint you, my dear fellow, but I'm afraid I can't stay. Oh, I have urgent business at Madame Trustspell's. You mean your waxwork job? No, the waxwork abduction, of course. The madam has engaged my services. Ah, so you're trying to get to the bottom of that ransom note, are you? The week's wages depend upon it. and does the safe return to the Waxworth, naturally. As such, I intend to give it my undivided attention. Oh, well, never mind then, I understand. Of course, with my skills of observation and reasoning, resolving the matter will be as easy as proverbial pie. I shall return forthwith. For until I solve the case, I shall have no money to afford a pie of any description. Oh, well then you must have to give it your full attention, Hurley. Quite, Iris, quite, but life is riddled with irony, you know. Whenever I give something of my full attention, I have a quite unsustainable desire for pie. One of the universe's irretractable mysteries, you might say. Oh, yes, quite. Definitely, absolutely. I wholly understand. Is someone a little starstruck? I wish you the very best of luck, Professor Harebrained. Why, thank you. Before I depart, Mr. Naruhado, a word in your ear, if you please. What's this about? As you have remarkably little grounding in science, I feel I ought to inform you. As compelling as this super high voltage instantaneous hypothesis may be, a practical implication, such as was admitted by the professor at the Great Exhibition, is quite impossible. But Professor had said the demonstration was a success. Yes, it would appear that he fervently believes it was. I've read Professor Bunnybrain's paper about it too, Bruno, and I have to say, I'm sure it can't be done. It could barely be done theoretically, let alone practically. So he's completely barking up the wrong tree. How can an experiment that had no possibility of succeeding, in fact, succeed? That's contradictory. And it's that contradiction that will be the heart of the trial, I have no doubt. What's that supposed to mean? Now I must hurry along. I wish you the best of luck, my dear fellow. See you later, Hurley. Well, it looks like you're on your own today, Runo. But chin up, you can do it. Oh, what about you, Iris? Ah, no, I'm afraid I can't help. I have something I need to do. I see. This is weird. It's going to be a big surprise for you when you find out what it is. Ah, that sounds ominous. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. The court is about to be in session. Make your way into the courtroom at once. We're on our way. Bro, this is the first time they were actually going in completely unassisted. I'm kind of excited, but almost disappointed. An experiment that the laws of science say can't possibly succeed, and a scientist who's convinced that it did. That's the riddle you have to unlock here, Ryunosuke. That's the key to this case. I don't know, Ramirez. It's entirely possible. Be it fatally or not, it's entirely possible. Is my camera all bugged out? I think it is. Hold on. It looks all blurry. Oh, hold on. Autofocus is what's happening. That's a little bit better. Oh, are these all new jurors? In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I, Judge Marston, hereby declare this court to be in session. We are sitting today for the public trial of Professor Albert Harebrained. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. I'm 6 months out of practice. And what's more... Ah! Ah! Without Sasato's on her ghost! It's like... Ah! Ah! It's gone. Gone and reduced to atoms. I declare the defense guilty to the Mega Gaze. I'm without Sasato's on it. Do we imagine her the whole time? Is it just my imagination, or does the air in here feel even more oppressive than usual? You always say that. She's in the Mega Gay Zone. You sent the wrong one to the Gay Zone! So, I must say I recollect the victim of this case all too well. Mr. Odie Asman. Mr. Asman was known as a financer, though that was merely a front for his diverse criminal activities.
It was only a month ago that the man appeared in court prosecuted by you, Lord Van Zieks. But the jury unanimously found him not guilty.
Because every member of the jury had been bribed, by the sound of it. Powerful London criminals were prepared to go to extreme lengths to keep their freedom.
But 2 days ago, on the 21st of October, Mr. Asman met his end. The work of the Reaper, was it?
Absolutely. Gone like tears in the rain, bro. If that is how your lordship would describe divine retribution. But the fact remains that Mr. Asman's death was a direct result of the actions of the accused, Professor Harebrained.
Very well, then. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people. Are this as you ready to fulfill your societal duty?
Oh my gosh! Blonde Abraham Lincoln! It's the shiny version of Lincoln! Like,
I am most gratified to have been selected to carry out this important civic duty, my lord.
oh my god! What an outfit! To have a man's fate in the palm of one's hand. Oh my gosh, oh golly, it shivers down my spine.
Science experiments, magic, conjuring tricks, courtroom trials, all are nothing more than performances.
What the? There's too many characters.
Any spurless scholar that defies the reputation of science deserves to hang.
We have to listen to what some says on both sides of the fence and settle on one. That's it, isn't it? Oh my god! What are these characters? Oh my lord.
Wasn't like this in my day, wasn't like this at all. He pulled a revolver in court!
That's the police killer Ottermole look-alike. Again! And he's as exhausted as ever, it seems.
What are these jurors? They're better than the previous ones. Now, as I'm sure you're all well aware, the incident we are here to judge today tragically took place at the Great Exhibition, shortly after its opening.
So the death toll could have been far worse, with the exception of the victim, no one was killed. Nevertheless, the dream of the science being exhibited rapidly turned into a nightmare for the spectators.
A tragic turn of events, and as such, the eyes of all London, no, of the whole world, will be on this trial. It is our duty to reach a swift and just conclusion, I feel. So, your opening statement, please, Lord Van Zieks.
At the heart of this incident is technology never before demonstrated anywhere in the world.
Of one of science's latest developments, I take it. The government is keen to capitalize on the Great Exhibition to improve Britain's technological advantage.
The technology being demonstrated by the accused was described as super high voltage instantaneous kinesis.
Good lord!
It's designed to disassemble human subjects using extremely high voltage electricity and beam them instantly to another location where they are subsequently reassembled.
Is such a thing even within the realms of possibility?
Well, I don't believe it, that's for sure. Disassembling people with electricity? My goodness, how shocking.
Ha! The whole idea is absurd. The hypothesis would never stand up to scrutiny. Sir, I believe you are a fellow of the Royal Society, are you not? An expert in your field.
I am, and my word on the matter can be considered final. Instantaneous kinesis is poppycock. So this expert and Mr. Sholmes are in agreement. It's impossible.
Well, what's the prosecution's view on the matter?
The prosecution would assert that the accused's instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a success. What? There's no way.
Order!
The professor's hypothesis is currently under investigation by the British government. If it is deemed to have merit, a substantial research grant would be made available. Cap of the court. The accused made use of the invention built on his new hypothesis to take Mr. Asman's life in order to be the sole benefactor of the grant. That's the angle you're going with? But... This disastrous demonstration was no accident. It was carefully designed from the outset to end the life of the victim. Bonk.
Thank you, Lord Van Zeeks. The prosecution's stance is clear. We can now bring forth witnesses to substantiate your claims.
I'm glad to be a lord. Yeet! Bailiff, show the first witness to the stand. The defendant? Witness, state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. I was on duty at the demonstration on the day in question and in charge of the following investigation. Oh, but Harebrain's a scientist. You were born in England, but have been carrying out research in Germany in recent years, correct? Yes, that's right. After graduating from university here in Britain, I went to work in Germany, made an amazing discovery. Which is what brought me back. I had the incredible hypothesis at the Great Exhibition. What you demonstrated was incredible, or an incredible explosion. But the science was a success. The instantaneous kinesis worked. Everyone saw it. They must have done. Yes, there was the terrible accident, but the demonstration of my hypothesis was a success. Well, that much is undeniable, as shown as this photograph taken by the forensic investigation team. This was taken inside the Crystal Tower, I take it. Centerpiece of the exhibition, no less. There's a freaking gaping hole there. And right, my lord, it seems the victim rammed straight into it.
Give me the evidence. I'm busy.
Because the court's heard, the victim of the incident was Mr. Odie Asman. There have been a number of allegations made against the man, but putting them aside for the time being, he was the man who financed the research for the experiment and the demonstration itself.
I see. No. So to summarize the situation, the defendant is accused of taking the life of the man who funded his work. Would that be correct?
Exactly. But couldn't it be the explosion was caused by... oh, what the heck that came from? Sorry, Your Honor. Caused by some malfunction in the apparatus used for the demonstration. That's right, that must be it! My splendid machine! My poor splendid machine! You saw it yesterday, didn't you? We can't even examine the wreckage thanks to the Special Disposition for Scientific Equipment Act. What? The wreckage?
But that being the case,
How can the facts be established? Good question.
how can it be determined whether this was an accident or a deliberate and malicious act?
Extremely simply, my lord.
I beg your pardon?
Isn't it right, witness?
What?
Sorry, me? No, your neighbor. Goodness. Yes, sir, it was murder, plain and simple. Anyone can say that with complete certainty. Except I'm gonna throw it out. What? Goodness gracious, what the heck was in my throat? How can you possibly think that? Anyway.
Thank you, Inspector. I think we better proceed to the formal testimony. You will explain to the court what grounds you claim this experiment to be for a front of murder. Excuse me. Order in my throat.
Alright. Well, the corpse went crashing through the Crystal Tower, had a broken neck. I made a minor miscalculation of the angle of the beam projection. That's all. That was my mistake. But the post-mortem examination revealed another injury. Fatal wound. There was a lesion in his chest where he clearly had been stabbed by something sharp right in the heart. So the victim was killed before he went anywhere, and this fella's the only one who could have done it. Well, you take a break, my guy. I don't know what I choked on. An extraordinary business. In addition to suffering a broken neck, the victim was stabbed in the heart. Information I would really like to have heard from someone other than the judge. The coroner says death would have been all but instant from a wound like that. You could say, in fact, that the victim was killed twice by the accused. No, that couldn't be further from the truth. I have here the experiment plan document that was submitted to the security team. The victim stood himself inside something called the bird cage, ready to be beamed instantly to the second level of the Crystal Tower, about 25 yards away. The experiment did not go according to plan. However, as the machine was put into operations, there was a large explosion. The blast caused the beam transmitter to point higher than intended. Accordingly, the kinesis resulted in the birdcage materializing in midair, and from where it subsequently fell, crashing through the glass at the Crystal Tower's large round window. My word! One assumes the victim's neck was broken upon impact with the tower, then. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean for this to happen. The machine was just too powerful. But honestly, really, I swear, it was just an accident, a terrible accident. Unfortunately, that excuse can't save you. No, not considering the sharp murder weapon that pierced the victim's heart. A murder weapon? What are you saying? This is the autopsy report submitted by the coroner. The prosecution would like it entered into the court record. Your request is granted, counsel. Oh, where did that come from? Oh, goodness. Unupdated autopsy report, anyone? No, they don't. Heck, I saw someone got their account banned and they were a huge, big-time streamer because they joked a lot and said that they were a different age, a minor age. Which I don't want to repeat in case there's bots listening. I don't think they would, but who the heck knows. I ain't saying that. Yeah, I'll mention it in Discord later. Kind of weird and kind of funny. I was there in person, you know. I saw the whole ludicrous performance. And the only other person on the stage with Mr. Addison was that disgraceful excuse for a scientist. Then really, by all accounts, it must have been him. Hard to think otherwise, really. Very well, counsel for the defense. Proceed with the cross-examination, please. Oh, yes, my lord. I need to focus here. It's been a while. Are you suggesting that it's because he fell from a considerable height? Exactly. Let's try something else about this whole rum business. What's that? The fact that the instantaneous kinesis itself was a success. Ah. After the explosion, the cage with the fellow inside suddenly appeared out of nowhere in midair. So although the experiment ended in disaster, the so-called instantaneous kinesis did actually occur. Remind us, Professor, what was the cause of the fatal disaster? I mean, minor miscalculation. Okay, let me. So the angle of the projection is critical, is it? And you calculate it yourself, personally. Absolutely. The calculation is far too complicated for anyone but me to carry out. Only you got it wrong, didn't you? Yes, that's right. That's the point. The calculation is so complicated even I can make a mistake. Do people fall for that brazen confidence? I should try it. I took into account the subject's weight and height, and the wind direction and ambient temperature, and considering possible variable, but I just don't understand how this could have happened. Obviously, then, you had to include the weight of the clothes Mr. Emerson was wearing at the time, I suppose. Ah! Crackling combat stance, or should have been 3! So much for safety first. The 3 must be for safety third. Another fatal injury, you say. That makes sense. I didn't know how to spell this out, but here we go. Just because there were 2 fatal wounds doesn't mean I'm saying the victim had 2 lives to lose, does it? You're right. At first we thought the book died due to the spine snapping in half as well. But you're saying that's not the case. You'll get your hands on my fish and chips! You don't stop butting it every few seconds! Well, we all know that's a bottomless bag! Bro, the game is too self-aware sometimes. The victim plummeted 30 feet into the glass tower. It would be reasonable to assume that is the cause of death. Right. Well, you all thought, but it was a red herring, wasn't it? Vince knew nothing of this critical information. The prosecution receives this report from the forensic investigation team only this morning. That was the first we knew of it as well. I can only apologize for I can only apologize for the impossibility of informing the defense. Sarcastic and insincere. Thanks! So, what was the nature of this sharp object? Among the accused tools that were in use at the demonstration, one is of particular interest. This. Ah, yes, that would appear to be some kind of screwdriver, wouldn't it? Counts. Ah! There! Here he is! My trusty little companion, Andrew! Okay. Andrew. Of course. Goodness. Do you know each other already? He's one of my dear friends, like all my tools. I've named them all, you know. We're one big happy family. Sure. Andrew's my flathead screwdriver, of course. His brother Michael is a crosshead. Well, it would appear that your beloved Andrew has a red stain on his shank. Bro, that's what the A is for. Ah, isn't that... is blood. Beyond all reasonable doubt. No. That's not all. The long, sharp piece of the shape of the tendril is completely consistent with the victim's wound. What? What? Order! Order! So one of the Professor's harebrained tools is the murder weapon. Great! What grounds do you have for saying that? Ha! You really need to ask. Only 2 people in that public experimentation stage in front of the whole crowd. The victim, Mr. Odie Asman, and the accused, Professor Harebrain. I know for certain that before the experiment, the victim was alive. That's right, I saw my own eyes! Furthermore, following the explosion and kinesis, nobody went anywhere near the body. In other words, only someone else on stage with the victim could have possibly done it.
Excuse me.
Professor Harebrain, do you have some information that may be relevant here? Professor! Ah, sorry. I was just calculating the optimum condition of the electrode analysis to separate Roger Clues in the human body, and the witness stand is the best place for that. It seems as though you might have something to say about Inspector Grayson's last remark. Yes, that's right, of course. He just said that nobody else could have done it, didn't he? Yeah, that's right. Who else could have stabbed the victim, eh? I don't know, but... There's no way that I could possibly have stabbed Mr. Amundsen, as you say. Eh? Explain, please, Professor? Of course, this cold-hearted policeman may not be aware, I suppose. But humans are warm-blooded mammals with blood running continuously through their veins. I had heard. Then surely you see, if I had plunged something in the size of Andrew in the man's chest, those things would have been a bloodbath. No, a blood-swimming pool. But thousands of Londoners were watching me at the time. Yet one of them claims to have seen a swimming pool of blood. Well, no, I suppose not. You see, not one. True, I didn't see anything like that. Well done, Professor. That was a great counter-argument. Order! Uh-oh, the wine's here. Pray forgive the discourtesy if I see a very drop from my hallowed chalice to accompany my old friend's Edoking. Here's to you, Albert. Oh, you're too kind, Barak. I thought I really had to patch on you. Fire! No, you're not. No? You've neglected to mention one crucial possibility. I have? A particular situation in which very little bleeding would result from a stab wound. Ah, of course. Inspector, enlighten the court, please. Yes, sir. Where are they going with this? It's gonna the screwdriver is gonna be a cork. In order to counter it, I'll have to get drunk. Very well. You will admit your formal testimony now, Inspector Gregson. The weapon the victim was stabbed with must have been left in his body whilst he was beamed through the air. Yeah. Why would you think that, Inspector? Anyway, it's only when you pull out the weapon that the previous bleeding occurs. Well, if it allows in the body, that's sort of a stopper for sorts, for want of a better word. I see. You don't need a medical degree to be aware of this fact. It's common knowledge for any investigator. Where's Sasito Simon? You need her. If you ask me, this bloke Masby was doing from view with his body before stabbing him on in the chest. Then beamed the victim off stage with his fancy device and screwdriver still replanted him. I would never use such a thing, not to my precious tools when you do them such dirty work. You only have to use those for their intended purpose. That's common knowledge for any scientist. The fact remains that the lack of blood at the scene can easily be explained, as the prosecutor has demonstrated. But if that's the case, why wasn't it still in the body? That's what I have to work with. I had no idea the victim had been stabbed. That changes everything. It makes these together with self-intent on purpose to gain the advantage? Oh well. I suppose all I can do is press these witnesses for as much new information as possible. I see. Green hair. Okay. But there's no thing there. Okay. Okay. This is blood, Mr. Ammons, no doubt. This is the problem with looking at murder weapons. Sure. I've seen this unusually shaped handle before. It's the same screwdriver that was lodged in the grill on the floor of the kinesis machine, which could be important information, so I should definitely make a note of it. I already know what my counter-argument is. You say that while the weapon remains in the body, there's very little bleeding. Is that unequivocal? Well, look, there was no blood on the experimentation stage, even though that's where the fellow was stabbed. The only explanation for that is that the screwdriver was still in his body, stopping any heavy bleeding. It's common medical knowledge, my learned friend, even on your sides of the world. Yes, but about the screwdriver. The thing is, we actually saw it at the scene ourselves, on the experimentation stage. What? It was on the floor by the wreckage of the machine, poking through a metal grill. I went to pick it up, but the detective here stopped me. Isn't that right? Inspector Gregson. Now you've come to mention it, yes. Inspector, are we to understand that you permitted the defense counsel to investigate? That you contraved the Special Disposition for Scientific Equipment Act. No, not at all. I wouldn't do that. I just let him look, nothing more. I was very clear he wasn't to touch a thing. Yes, that's true. The screwdriver was in plain sight, on the stage. But it shouldn't have been, should it? What are you getting at? If this tool had still been in the victim's body when the victim was beamed away by the machine, then it shouldn't have still been on the stage. That's right. It should have been beamed across to the Crystal Tower along with Mr. Asman. And been found still lodged in the victim's chest. His chips are everywhere.
Order! Order! How do you explain this, Inspector?
I don't... It looks as though everything that the victim had on his person was moved with him when he was beamed. If the screwdriver was still in his chest when the instantaneous kinesis occurred, obviously that should have been beamed to the station as well. This is a strange situation. Even though people are saying that this is instantaneous kinesis is a scientific impossibility, we're still basing arguments on the assumption that it actually did take place. Alright, time to tighten the screws here. My lord, the prosecutor is unable to explain this inconsistency in its argument. We can only conclude that the testimony given in the support cannot be relied upon. Lord Van Zieks is stumped. Oh no, don't freaking... You should silence your mouth, Professor.
Do you have something to say, witness?
Yes, I knew it! It bears out. The equations hold. Mr. Naruhito, don't worry! About what? Without delving into the details, there is no inconsistency. What? No. Why would he say this? Even if Andrew had been lodged in Mr. Mann's chest, my trusty tool wouldn't have moved. Andrew remaining on the stage is consistent with my calculations. What? What? Dude, why is he outing this? Dude. Yeet. It would seem your illusions have been shattered. Clearly we should hear the accused explanation. Or should I say, this brilliant scientist's explanation. Just when I found an inconsistency in the prosecution's argument. Scientists.
Very well, the defendant will testify again. Provide us with exciting examination as why the inconsistency asserted by the defense fails to hold. In the name of Apollo, I will, my lord.
Dude, why are you working against me? Why would anyone want to do that? To be clear, I'm still at the stage of gathering data in my research. My hypothesis states that kinesis cannot transport metal, though. Hence, the metal weapon would have stayed put. In other words, the point just raised by Mr. Naruhado isn't an inconsistency at all. Mr. Asman was the patron of my research. Without him, my work wouldn't have been possible. Hold on a second. Give me a sec. I can't move metal, but his glasses are literally have metal pieces in them. How do they not even fall off? You know what? Here's the thing. How do they not even fall off of his face after flying that kind of distance and having a fall? How do the glasses stay on his body? Just, that's probably not the point, but come on, the glasses are metal. Now I have a duty practice incredible machine that we built together. Dude, you are a moron. So, the trust your testimony, Professor, is that based upon his hypothesis, metal objects cannot be moved by this method of instantaneous kinesis. In other words, since the screwdriver is made of metal, even if it remained lodged in the victim's chest, its subsequent discovery on the stage, despite the victim being found elsewhere, is not an inconsistency. Therefore, Professor Albert Harebrained could still have been the killer. Bro, this guy... This is ridiculous. My great hypothesis holds, you see! We had to make the cage used to contain the subject from wood for that very reason. I was not addressing you, witness. Professor Harebrained. Yes? Whose side are you on here? I don't take sides, Mr. Naruhado. No. My only interest lies in upholding my hypothesis. I am a scientist, after all. Great. Is he working for us or against us? It's very hard to tell. Let's see how you cross-examine this testimony, my Nipponese friend. Yes! Fire away, Mr. Naruhado. Alright. I'm just gonna go right for the jugular, because this makes sense. Alright, I'm gonna get some more information on this one before I press. Your hypothesis states it, so this isn't proven then. No, of course not. It's merely a hypothesis, but a good one, based upon thousands of calculations. It is widely known that metals can't be decomposed by electrolysis. Yes, of course. I am right. My hypothesis is clearly correct. What is it about incriminating himself that makes this man so happy? It's the whole reason that the birdcage is made of wood, you see. Sorry, the birdcage? Yes, that's what I call the C. obtusa cage in which Mr. Asman was placed for the kinesis. Ah, the jail cell in which the victim was detained. It does seem to be made of a timber of sort. Thank you for turning out to be an instrument of incarceration, your lordship. In short, any weapon lodged in the victim when he was beamed away in instantaneous kinesis would have been left behind on the stage if it was made of metal, correct? Yes, that's it! Yes! It all fits perfectly within the mathematical model. But the ultimate conclusion, then, is that the defendant alone had the opportunity to inflict this fatal injury on the victim, is it not? Ah! Oh, indeed, sir. Someone beam me out of this nightmare. Oh my god. Alright, well, time for me to go for my thought. Thank you. Professor Harebrained, you say that according to your hypothesis, nothing made of metal can be beamed by instantaneous kinesis using the machine you made. Is that right? Yes, that's right. Spot on. Exactly correct. Well, in that case, I'd ask you to have a look at this photograph that was taken at the scene. I'm particularly like to pay attention to the victim's face. I'm glad this made sense. I was gonna be so upset if this was wrong.
You can clearly see that Mr. Asmonds is wearing a pair of spectacles with a metal rim. I thought of that joke isolate, but I've done it before. Metal? No! I didn't. That auto scrolled another one. We've already established the proposed murder weapon. The screwdriver was found on the stage. However, if your hypothesis correctly predicted the outcome, it should also have predicted that the metal rim spectacles will be found in the same place. Ah! My hypothesis! My hypothesis! So why? It's a classic. Professor Harebrained, this isn't easy for me to say, but your hypothesis is clearly flawed. Ah! Okay. Order! Counsel, what is the implication of this? If on the day in question, the alleged instantaneous kinesis never actually took place, then it's entirely possible that the victim was killed somewhere other than on the stage. And in that case, someone other than the defendant could have been the culprit. But my hypothesis is sound! It's not. I proved it that day! The experiment was a success! The experiment was proof of all my work! If I could say something here, in my capacity as a fellow of the Royal Society? Yes, juror number 4, go ahead. As a man of science, there's one thing I simply cannot abide. And it's a fraud who pretends to be a fellow man of science. What? Wait! Great Scott! Are you suggesting my science is suspect? It's just been disproved, isn't it? In front of all of us. In other words, the whole demonstration was a complete nonsense from start to finish. Believe me, my fellow jurors, when I tell you that my hand clipped through the board. This man is a heel, and a blunder, and a fraud. I say the records of that machine should be stripped down and thoroughly examined. No! Never! The machine is my entire hypothesis! It's printed by the Special Scientific Equipment Act. What the devil's the blasted act about it? Who made up such a daft rule? I don't like the way this seems to be going. What's the best way for me to help the professor? We raise an objection. We never let people start talking. We have to interject. Professor Harebrained has yet to perfect his invention. That would seem to be the case, yes. But even so, what? Going to such trouble and expense to create a fake machine to display in public would have absolutely no reason to. He would have absolutely no reason to do such a thing. He had an obvious reason to do exactly that. For the research grant money. Ah! If the government was foolish enough to have deemed this man's notion plausible, he and his conspirators would have received a handsome sum indeed. Conspirators? What would the value of such a grant? £10? You're an order of magnitude out, madam. £500 a year. Oh, are you? Can live handsome with that much for years? The Society has noticed an increase in bogus public demonstrations in the field of science recently, and plenty of scientists arguing with each other to get the largest slice of the founding cake. People's greed is plenty of motive enough for murder. I assure you. Why is the jury so American today? No, I haven't deceived anyone! At least of all the government! Oh, this is sound, the science is sound, please, you must believe me! No matter how unbelievable this hypothesis may seem to you, ladies and gentlemen, the fact remains that the victim was transported instantly to the Crystal Tower. Which means that the experiment was a success. Ah, Barak! And therefore, the only person who could possibly have committed this murder is the accused. Ah, Barak! Where is this heading? I have no idea. My lord, if I may. Yes, Lord Van Zieks. The prosecution would like to summon a new witness to the stand. New witnesses? What would the nature of their involvement? They were spectators of the demonstration as the exhibition, who were occupying special seats. Eyewitnesses? Very well. The court grants the prosecution's request. I very much like to hear from eyewitnesses to the incident. The prosecution's stance is clear. The experiment was no push-dish. The accused kills the financial victim there on the public stage before the very eyes of the spectators. Now, my learned friend. Oh, yes?
It's time for you to make your own stats clear. There's clearly a flaw in the professor's hypothesis. I can definitely see that. But where does that leave me?
She'll take a short recess now. During the time, the prosecution will prepare its new witness to take the stand.
As you wish, my lord.
Good. In that case, court is adjourned for 20 minutes.
Is this an actual intermission? It is an actual intermission. That was really fast. That was only an hour, basically. Ish, I think. An hour, basically, exactly. Well, I did say that we were going to be ending at the first cutoff point for tonight, so that I'm going to hold myself to that, because if they're giving us a cutoff point this early, who the heck knows how long the next stretch of the trial is going to be. So this may be the only chance to get out of here at a decent hour tonight for this stream. Why is my headphones... They're caught on the freaking chair. Anyway, I'm going to head out for tonight. I don't actually know when the next stream will be. I think it should be next Monday. I do not have Friday off this week. So unless I do a late night stream after work, we won't have anything till next week. So that is the thing. I'll keep you guys posted in Discord as soon as I'm sure myself. But I'm going to take the chance to stop here for tonight. So give my tongue a rest. So have a good night, everybody. I will see you guys in the next stream. It'll probably be picking Pokemon back up. Unless we do a night stream, in which case maybe I'll do like a Harvest Moon or something. I don't know. But anyway, have a good night, guys. I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye, and have a good one.